Yeah. 6:26.
All right, thank you. Sorry for the delay. First of all, we all had to get the delicious snacks, but we also ran over from executive session, so I apologize. I'll reopen the public meeting and we'll start with the pledge. The flag is down that way. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Katrina, can you start us with the mission and vision, please? Falmouth Public School mission. The Falmouth Public Schools creates world-class student learning experiences. Our Clippers are empowered to pursue their goals with curiosity, integrity, and resiliency. Falmouth Public Schools vision. Clippers are creative, inquisitive, and engaged learners who participate in their community as socially responsible citizens. Clippers effectively communicate and solve problems that impact the world around them. Thank you. Is anyone going to be making an audio or video recording tonight? If anyone is making an audio or video online, can you please raise your hand? Oops. Okay, great, thank you. So if there are no objections, we're going to allow our Falmouth High School highlight and CTE item next in the agenda so that they can share with us all about the food we just ate.
All right, so tonight's student showcase will capture a few of our excellent CTE programs. First, we have a few students from Caitlin Hackett's class and Karen Donahue's class. So they'll be up here in just a second. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and introduce, also tonight we have our CTE department head, Janet Rocha, and then she's going to share a little bit more, and then she actually has the presentation that she'll follow. So I think you have a few students and we'll just keep rolling with the introduction. So turn it over to you first, Janet.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for having us. Caitlin, this is Caitlin Hackett, our culinary teacher, and Karen, special ed assistant, who assists with the program with her students. We want to introduce your students.
Tonight we have Marion Boulder and Devin Flynn from the restaurant management at Clipper Cafe. And we have Justin and Ava.
Thank you. Great.
Thanks.
So thanks for joining us.
Yes. To sit here, do you want to come on up? Gotta follow Ryan's.
Yeah.
Ryan's.
Oh, yes,
right?
always.
So we wanted to start out first. Caitlin's going to share a little bit about the culinary program. And then we have a couple of the culinary students that are going to share a little bit about their experience.
Okay. So this is our third year with the restaurant management course and running the Clipper Cafe. And I don't know if you were able to stop and see some of the slides and the pictures behind the coffee shop setup tonight, but we started the program with 2 students in restaurant management and a 2x4 table covered with a little tablecloth and served some coffee with cream and sugar. And since then, our program has grown each semester. We now have 9 students enrolled in the course this semester and a daily menu that includes breakfast sandwiches, fruit and yogurt parfaits, pastries that rotate, and smoothies that meet the students' food nutrition guidelines. The faculty and staff are able to call or order, and our students deliver. The students in the restaurant management are working on their math skills by selecting the menu items, those pastries that rotate. They price them out, they set the menu prices, they advertise. They're working with the students in the business marketing program to also create brochures that we're going to have our buddies pass out to faculty and staff to try and increase our sales. And we're continuing to dream to make it a little bit bigger next year too.
That's great.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Marion and Devin, you want to come on over?
Come on over and you're good. Did I take my spot?
Okay.
So you're enjoying this project and just tell us a little bit about the program.
Thanks for coming.
Hi, my name is Devin, and my experiences in Clipper Cafe is definitely learning a lot about customer service, and it helps me with my job in the summertime where I do a lot with customers. I work up front doing register. Freshman year, I took level 1 and I took the allergen serve safe, finished that. And my favorite part of that class was definitely the pasta we made. And then sophomore year, I did not take a serve safe, but the cake decorating contest was definitely the best. Junior year, I took the food handler serve safe. And we had a contest about foods around the world, and I did end up winning that.
Oh,
And then senior year, I took the workplace serve safe where we learned biases. And my favorite part is definitely running a Clipper Cafe every morning and serving everyone.
awesome. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Miriam and I also took all the same classes as him. My freshman year, my favorite thing was learning how to make pizza and the doughs and like experimenting with that. My junior year or sophomore year, I liked learning how to make bread and actually like doing that. Junior year, I liked making the smoothies and like pricing them out. And my senior year, I liked Clipper Cafe.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So you now have additional responsibilities as more of a manager.
Oh, congratulations.
So amazing.
It is.
So I have to ask what your recipe or what your dish was for that won the culinary, I know.
We made I believe chickpea curry with
Oh.
naan.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Any questions for our amazing students? Chris?
So do your families have you made dinner for them every night?
Sometimes.
Not really.
You get to say, no, I did that at school. Awesome. Mike?
On the budgeting aspect, and this might be more towards you, or you budget the price of the items and then what you sell it for, and then you have a business model based on that. Can you explain how the pastries work? Because that's a great use of real world mathematics.
For our pastries, we basically like look at the recipe, search it up, how much it costs per ounce, then do all the math to make it into
Like
what was
one
it?
portion.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
portion, and then we add them all together, add tax, and that's the base price for our menu.
Okay,
So.
thank you so much. Yeah. sounds good.
Amazing. Yeah.
Do either of you have interest in pursuing a career in the culinary arts?
Not really.
It's a lifelong fun thing though.
Yeah.
Or restaurant management or anything like that.
I personally don't, but I would love to like keep going with making foods and stuff like that, just for life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have to eat, so.
Yeah.
Can I ask one
Yeah.
more? You had told me that you're going to Wentworth for design.
Yeah.
Do you know what you're doing next year?
Yeah, I'm going to UMass Dartmouth.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, both of you.
The qualities you're learning from this, even though they're not food related, can you see using them in other business ventures or all the stuff you're learning? 'Cause it's
Definitely,
not
like,
just food related, right?
yeah, I would say the math aspects
Yeah.
of all the like weighing out and stuff like that, definitely would use that.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Everything was delicious.
So next, we're going to have Victoria and Kayla share their experiences. They are currently enrolled, not graduating quite yet, in 2 of our other pathways. So I'll just let them go ahead and take it away.
Hi, guys.
Thanks for
How
coming.
are we? Hi, my name's Kayla Talley, and I'm a junior here. I've taken several business classes, starting with Principles of Business my freshman year. And this year I've taken entrepreneurship, personal finance, and fundamentals of marketing, leading me to complete pathway. I originally thought I might go into the medical field, but the more classes I took, the more I realized this is where I feel motivated and inspired. I love the creativity, the planning, and the real world problem solving that comes with business. These classes taught me practical skills that I will utilize, like budgeting, marketing, and how to create a business plan. I've even started thinking seriously about becoming an entrepreneur and opening my own medical spa someday, combining both of my interests in health and business. Choosing the business pathway gave me direction and helped me see what I'm capable of. It's made a big difference in how I think about my future, and I'm really grateful FHS offers these opportunities. One of my favorite classes this year has been Fundamentals of Marketing. It helped me understand how much thought goes into the way business presents themselves, from branding to social media to how products are priced and promoted. I've learned how important it is to know your audience and how creative marketing can actually be. It made me realize there's a lot more to business than just numbers. It's also about connecting with people and telling a story that makes them care about your brand. Taking all these business classes has helped me figure out what I want to do after high school. I plan to major in business management in college, and I'm especially interested in schools like Bentley or Babson because they focus so heavily on business and entrepreneurship. My goal is to eventually run my own business, and these classes have given me the foundation, confidence, and motivation to start working towards that future now. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you for
Great.
sharing. I feel like we should have recorded that
Yeah.
and put it on FEV as marketing.
It was recorded.
Oh, good.
And we can't.
Good evening. My name is Victoria Fialio, and I'm currently a junior here at Falmouth High School. I'm incredibly grateful to be a part of the medical assistant pathway that launched here this year. This is a paid program offered to the public through the U.S. Career Institute, but FHS has made it available for free to a select group of students, and I'm honored to be one of them. For as long as I can remember, I've been passionate about working in the medical field, specifically in pediatrics. I've always wanted to work with children in a healthcare setting, but until this year, I wasn't really sure how to get started. There weren't really any classes or programs at school that gave me a clear direction, but that changed with this pathway. The medical assistant pathway runs for about a year. It begins in the spring semester of junior year and ends in the spring of senior year. The coursework is 100% online and self-paced, giving us flexibility to work at our own speed through the summer and into our senior fall semester. We're also given a free period during the school day to dedicate at least an hour into the program to help ensure that we make consistent progress. To complete the entire course, you need about 480 hours, and even though that may sound like a lot, the flexibility makes it really manageable. The program prepares us for the Certified Clinical Medical Assistant exam through the National Health Career Association. After passing it, we get placed in an externship with the Community Health Center, where we gain real-world experience in a specific specialty, which include phlebotomy, psychology, dentistry, general health, and even more. While these are focused more on adult care, it's still an incredible step forward in my journey, because even though it's not pediatrics, it's still giving me direct experience in the medical field and opening doors for the future. Throughout the course, we complete a series of practice quizzes and graded quizzes for each unit. These quizzes really help reinforce that we've learned and prepared us for the final certification exam. To stay in the program, we have to maintain a certain grade, at least an 85 to 90% across our assignments and quizzes. It holds us accountable and ensures we're actually mastering the material before moving forward. The course itself covers a wide range of units from medical terminology, anatomy and physiology, and pharmacology to front office procedures, patient communication, and first aid. We also learn about HIPAA compliance and infection control. To help us with hands-on practice, we're also provided with equipment like a blood pressure cuff and a stethoscope for at-home learning. We're guided by Ms. Rocha and our program coordinator, who help us stay on pace with clear goals and support along the way. Even though it's self-paced, we're never on our own. I also want to recognize how well this connects with what I'm learning in school. I'm also currently taking anatomy and physiology as a science elective, and Ms. Garrett does a phenomenal job teaching it. When I reached the anatomy units in the program, I was able to breeze right through them because of the strong foundation I had already built in her class. This pathway has been more than just a class. It's been a launch pad. It's helped me realize how much I want to major in biology on a pre-med track and pursue a pediatric medical career. I'm especially interested in Northeastern University, which is known for helping students gain internships and real-world experience during their undergrad years. With this background, including the national certification as a medical assistant, I'll be a competitive candidate ready to work in the field while also earning my degree. I'm incredibly thankful to FHS for offering this opportunity. It has truly given me the confidence, knowledge, and direction to take the first real steps toward a future in medicine. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate you sharing all of that, especially because it's a new program. And so we've not heard about what it actually looks like in real life. So thank you so much for sharing that. I guarantee Melissa's going to have a question related to health careers. So I'll kick it over to you first.
Tell me how you landed here. Tell me what brought you to the medical careers part.
So I had a meeting with my guidance counselor, kind of telling her like, oh, this is what I want to do after high school, but I don't really know, like, I'm in anatomy now, but like, what's the step after that? Like, what classes should I take? And it was like a conversation that kind of got brought up to us last year, but it wasn't really like set in place. We didn't really know what was going on. And at the end, like, towards the end of the school year, last year, Ms. Rocha kind of held a meeting, got everyone that was interested. And we were like, okay, so this is what we're thinking about. We don't really know what it's gonna look like or if it's actually gonna happen, but if you're interested, like, let me know. And then we had another kind of meeting earlier this year too about it. And there was conversations between guidance counselors with Ms. Rocha, emails, everyone was kind of like, oh, it's still up in the air. And then when it all like set into place, we had to write an essay, like kind of an essay. It was like 100 words. And kind of explain why you want to do it, what you want to learn from it, and fill out an application. And out of those applications, out of all the applications, only 10 of us got accepted into the program. And then once they gave us like the green light, we were all just into it. Everyone just started doing all their work and getting into the courses.
It sounds like you're super excited and
Yeah.
I'm excited for you. And I can't wait to see what your future holds. I thank you for all of this. That's great.
I hope I roll into the community health center sometime and I get to see our students. Great. Sue.
Your excitement is really contagious. And
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, do we have kids like this that now can give their experiences in the CTVE programs, speak to our 7th and 8th graders at some point?
Yes. And so I'm looking at Janet for that because I think that's part of the plans and maybe you'll speak to it in a little bit about, yes.
Because our offerings are so extensive
Yeah,
now and growing
it
all the
is.
time. Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments?
I just add two quick
Yeah,
things.
please.
I think what's really unique, and I give a lot of credit to Ms. Hackett and Ms. Rocha, is the way in which in the last 2 years we've evolved to meet the students where they are. And credit goes to you as school committee and to Dr. Dewar, because it's really hard to invest in an idea that starts slowly. And I think what we recognize, and Victoria did a great job expressing it, it's hard to know what you want to do. And it's really hard to know what you want to do when you're 14 and 15. But you meet with a counselor and the counselor says, what about? And I think what is being created that you see from our students is at Falmouth High, which is different than a tech school or other places. You can decide in your junior year where you want to go. And see how that connects to the classes you had in your sophomore year and your freshman year, that when you had them, didn't make a whole lot of sense. And that, I think, is what we're so excited about the future and the way that's happening. As she said in her piece, it's available at cost and they get it for free because you invest in it. And that same investment happened 2 years ago when Caitlin had 2 kids. And when you come in new as a principal and you see class sizes at 2, you say to your master scheduler, and why did we do this? And he says, because they have an idea and I think it's going to grow, and Dr. Dewar and everybody's investing in it. And then you see where it goes. And on Saturday, there was this musical that happened. I don't know if you caught it, but it's, you know, best musical probably in New England. And it happened because we invested 6 or 7 years ago in someone to run the theater program. And also classes that struggle to gain ground and then look how it goes and how it grows. And I think that's the piece we would want you to know as school committee, and are very grateful to Dr. Dewar in terms of investing in teachers and kids' ideas for the future that in the moment might look like it's not working. And if you stay with it, it does. And they get all the credit, and I just really appreciate your investment in it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, Margaret, sorry.
I want to say 2 things. Number one, I've been on the student advisory committee, and I have been so impressed with the students who come in and they're juniors. And they say, well, we started this and we decided we didn't like it. We moved to this. And they're in the junior year and they really sort of are figuring out what they want to do. And it's so impressive. Number 2, I didn't go to the play because of my operation, but my friends did. And they have seen it elsewhere. And they said, your play passed anything they had seen.
The best, the best, what excellence looks like.
So.
We have anyone else? I don't know who. How many more people we have come to talk to us? Did you have anything else?
Janet's
Yeah,
gonna
I'm just
talk.
going to.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Well, that is a tough act to follow.
Yeah, kids always are.
So, I also want to thank you very much for believing in the need for a CTE department head. I was one of the team and my colleagues and I spent, I don't know, 7 or so years building our pathways and now it's kind of come to, full circle. So what I love about it is it's providing the opportunity to support the team, the instructors and the students, obviously. And it's allowing us to expand programs. It's allowing us to make the programs that we have even better. And also allowing us to build strong relationships with the community and businesses, which we've always done that all along, but now there's a real focus on it. So I just want to thank you for that. I'll just move quickly through because I know we're probably going over time. But we have some things that are new this year. The CTE group, we held 2 employer roundtables, one in February and one during the half-day PDs and one just in May. And what was great about it is the goal or intent of the roundtable was to learn what is it that the employers are looking for in skills, what's going on in the different industries, what are you seeing a need for, while also promoting our programs. And trying to build connections with new employers, strengthen connections with existing contacts that we've had, and also open up doorway-based learning opportunities. So both sessions were fantastic, and it has opened some new doors. I have meetings lined up for growing the internship pathways and some job shadowing. Also new this year, you've already heard about the pathway. I just wanted to tell you that it's our first cohort. There were spots. We ended up with set schedules kind of shook around. We have 7 students and 15 lined up, more than doubling it after our launch, which is awesome. And as you heard, they're going to be nationally certified. They can go anywhere once they pass that exam as medical assistants. We also, to point about where a program, when it starts and where it's going to go. I've been working on the aviation maintenance technology program with the Cape Cod Community College. It's still in progress. There have been some changes with the FAA. I don't know all the details yet, but I have meetings set up to continue that. We're due to launch that next spring. And I think we have 7 or 8 students right now that are interested in that pathway. So those are the new programs. With regards to some of the existing pathways, our computer programming pathway, Mike Campbell has been teaching an AP computer science principles course. It's in its 6th year, but what's new about it is this year it was opened up to freshmen. And of the 35 students taking the AP exam this year, 15 of them are freshmen. So we're really excited about that. It's about a 43% of the test takers will be freshmen. The food justice program, we have a second new greenhouse out back. I don't know if anyone's had the opportunity to see it. And what's cool about that is, obviously it's providing, space for the food justice students, but our carpentry students, built the ends of it. You'd have to see it, but it's a greenhouse and the ends are wood. So there's a lot of collaboration that's going on across programs. So they pitched in to build that new greenhouse. Dr. Harden just put an apple orchard. I don't know if you noticed the little apple trees when we came in. So we have an apple orchard. There's, I think, 13 or 15 trees out there. So that's new. Carpentry kids also are going to be disassembling the playhouse for the early childhood program. And then the kids are going to actually draw and design a new playhouse in the fall, and then they're going to rebuild it next spring. And they also built the pergola for the food justice outdoor classroom. So that happened between those 2 programs this year. You saw culinary. I don't really have a lot to add to that other than we're taking that to the next level. We've been working, I know we worked with Paul and some others down in the finance office and in town, Stacy Stokes. We're implementing a Square point of sale system. So the students are going to have a real world experience with It's not gonna be a cash only business. They'll be able to take debit cards from staff, and we hope to roll it out in the future to students. That's down the road a little, but so that's some of the plans we have for expanding the Clipper Cafe. We're also looking to expand the space, but I don't want to talk a whole lot about that right now. But we are looking to grow that program into a real solid cafe. And then lastly, marketing. We have a new ed tech platform that we're gonna pilot. We're gonna start it, just testing it at the end of this year and then roll it out next year. And what's really cool about it is it's an online platform that kind of bridges the gap between classrooms and careers. It offers students the ability to work on real projects for real companies, but in a virtual space. So break kind of companies classroom, and they can nonprofits or career areas that they're interested in work on these projects and solve real life problems, and then they can be eligible for internships, that they can virtual internships. So we're kind of exploring that space in the marketing program. That's what I have for you.
It's all wonderful.
So,
Thank you.
Amazing.
so, any
Mike?
questions?
Your last point with the marketing thing, the marketing program, I know that Fitchburg State, if you're in the marketing department there, you'd find like a local business.
Mhm.
And the groups would break up into teams and you'd pitch somebody. Then I've actually been on both ends of that when I had the college students market my own business. Is that something, and then the virtual thing is great, but is that something that you might look into, be interested, like local businesses? So they
Yeah, well,
can-
that's what this company helps do, is they have their own businesses that you
Okay.
can start with.
Yeah.
And you can just do projects with them, or you can even do virtual internships, but they also help you with developing local relationships.
Okay, good.
We've been doing that also, so it's
Yeah.
kind of a blend, like, we have an internship program that we've been running for, I think this is my 18th year doing it.
Mhm.
So we do have that as an established base.
Okay.
So this is it would be kind of blending it, and they're out of California. They started in California, and that's what they did in their market in California, was they brought local businesses to, with the students, but they could do it in person, they could do it virtual, they had virtual meetings, so it's
Yeah.
kind of blended.
It's just a really cool program. Because a group of students who actually hypothetically gets the contract, and there's cases that businesses have actually adopted some of the marketing tools that the students have, so that's awesome. Thank you.
And we just, to piggyback on that, our marketing teacher, Jenny Howe, she's made great connection with our VIPS department and has had a lot of guest speakers coming in. And we recently had a former graduate, can I say a name? Okay. Jeffrey Rose, he has Rose Landscaping. He took an entrepreneurship class when I was still a business teacher. And he built his business, he graduated, he's got a full-blown, very successful landscaping business. She had him in and had the students are building a marketing plan for him, and they had to pitch it to him. So we have that going on too.
That's awesome, yeah.
Yeah. I could sit here all night and tell you what's going on, but I don't want to overstay my welcome.
No,
So,
it's amazing, not everybody goes to college, out of high school. And you've done a wonderful opening for other venues for kids. It's awesome.
thank you.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, I just want to sort of elaborate on Terry's last comment that I think public school is kind of changing, and I think that Dr. Durr has recognized that not every kid is going to go to college, or not every kid is going to go right after high school kind of thing. So having these programs that get our students national certification so that they can start real world working with real salaries and real careers is amazing. I think Doc Harris said it best a time ago when he said, for a public school, we sure behave like a private school. In other words, we're offering so many amazing things to our students that the average high school outside of here doesn't offer. So thank you for the update on it. It makes me very excited and very proud of our high school and our programs. So
Well, thank you for all the support. So they couldn't do it without your support. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thanks for
Thanks for
coming
coming.
back.
Okay, now we're gonna bump back to public comments. So members of the public are welcome to speak about items that are not on the agenda. Comments should be limited to 2 minutes in length, and due to the open meeting law, we cannot act on public comment. For items on the agenda, the chair can accept comments from the public after the committee's discussion. And you can always send feedback or comments to email address at schoolcommittee@falmouth.k12.ma.us. And if you're online and you have a comment, you're welcome to raise your hand. Do we have anyone here for public comment? I don't know who wants to start first.
Good evening. As we reflect on last year, the
Sarah,
town.
can you just state your name for the?
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry about.
no worries.
Hi, everybody. As we reflect on this past year, the challenges, the decisions in the attempts to repair broken communication between the committee, administration, and the community, I want to acknowledge the efforts that's been made. But there's still a major voice missing from this conversation, our teachers. Teachers are the backbone of this district. They are not only the facilitators of education, but the caretakers of our children, often going above and beyond, even putting their own safety on the line to support students. And yet I haven't heard their voices enough in this process. I'm hoping to hear some teacher input in at least one of the items on the agenda this evening. In addition, I'd like to request more transparency around the exit interviews conducted for staff and teachers who have either resigned or were let go this year. Their feedback is essential to understanding what's working, what's not, and how we can do better. Let's not just talk about improving communication. Let's include every voice, especially the ones doing the work every day in our classrooms. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Megan Zottely, and I'm returning to present a survey on the dress code at Lawrence School. In the last 5 days, I've collected 133 people's responses. 1, how familiar are you with the Lawrence School dress code uniform? 93% said very familiar, 6% somewhat, 0% not familiar. 2, overall, how do you feel about the dress code? 4% said positive, 70% negative, 24% neutral. 3, what do you like or dislike about the dress code? 14% said it's comfortable and they like it. 83% said the clothing is uncomfortable and they don't like it. 4, do you believe the dress code is a financial burden for families? 72% said yes, 10% said no, 16% not sure. 5, does the dress code reduce stress or cause stress for students? 6% reduces stress, 60% said causes stress, 17% no impact, and 14% not sure. 6, do you think the dress code is applied fairly and equally? 11% said yes, it's fair, 73% said no, it's not, and 14% are not sure. 7, have you observed any discrimination in the enforcement of the dress code? 64% said yes, 12% no, 22% not sure. Are you a Falmouth Public School student or parent? 65% who answered the survey were Lawrence students, 14% were Lawrence parents, 5% Morris Pond students, 13% Morris Pond parents, and 3% Falmouth Elementary student or parents. 9, do you want the dress code to change? 89% said yes, I want it to change. 4% said no, I like it the way it is. 5% said I'm indifferent. And the last, do you think having this dress code improves you or your child's ability to learn? 3% said yes, it helps me and their ability to learn. 86% said no, it does not improve their ability to learn. And 9% said that they don't have an opinion. I would like again to request that this goes on the agenda urgently because you're in violation of state law. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Come on up.
Diana Wilson, parent and Falmouth resident. Here we go again, another late Tuesday night, sitting at school committee meeting with other moms and dads instead of being home with our children. Why do we keep showing up and missing time with our little ones? That's easy. We show up here because we're standing up for our children and the children of our community. We show up because even when we do, this committee and administration isn't hearing us. I want to be clear that some of you are listening to the stakeholders in this community, and we have seen it in your actions and in your votes. We appreciate and support you, and thank you for it. Unfortunately, though, the majority of this committee may see us or even hear us, but you are not truly listening. Your actions and votes clearly show us that. We are here because we are going to stand up for our children, even if you won't. And we will ensure that our children's futures are protected, even if you're not doing it. We will keep showing up here and at the polls to make sure that we get what's right for our children. This week, people are heading to the voting booths to elect or re-elect 3 people to this committee. I urge the community to show up in record numbers and vote for the candidates who continue to show us that they will speak for the children in our schools and the teachers that guide them each day. This committee needs change, and I urge Falmouth to make that happen at the polls. Please vote for the candidates that have children in our schools and a vested interest. Vote for the candidates who are already in our schools regularly, supporting the students and teachers. Vote for our future by voting for a change.
I brought visual. There's 4 of you. Chris, you mind taking that? Hi, Raquel Russell, T-Ticket Mom. I'll wait till you all get a copy of this, just so you can see what I'm talking about. Open it up? Okay, okay. So first, page 1 is fiscal year 25 this year. The Falmouth Public Schools has made $79,236 worth of in-kind donations to the coalition. In fiscal year 24, the Falmouth Public Schools donated $73,215 of in-kind donations to the coalition. I say this because I'm here asking you if you could so kindly consider a donation contribution to East Falmouth Elementary School to replace some of these special ed materials that were lost due to the mold situation that have still not been replaced. The staff was notified this week that the insurance did not cover those materials. So that's why they have not been replaced. And page 3 is a like sample of some of those items. You'll see these are like items for like motor sensory things, occupational therapy, physical therapy. And I'm asking for $750 for the East Falmouth Elementary School to cover those materials that were lost in the mold remedy. And $80,000 to one organization is a lot of money. And I understand that Falmouth, being the lead agency, has to make an in-kind contribution. That's part of the grant terms. So on the last 2 pages, I included 2 other districts on what their contributions were. And one school was about $3,000 and another one was $4,000. And here we are over $70,000 a year to one organization that really does not benefit the entirety of all the kids in our district. And to me, that's a lot of money. So if you could please consider a donation to the East Falmouth Elementary kiddos to get them the materials that they need for their therapy. And I would just like to mention as well that fiscal year 26, East Falmouth Elementary is the only elementary school whose special education materials budget was cut in half. They're losing thousands of dollars for next year. Every other school is either the same, or I think Lawrence lost like 250 of special education materials line item budget. So if we could get those kiddos what they need, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. That was 15-second one. We're doing 15-second. Would you like that?
Yes,
I can
please.
do whatever you want.
Yes,
Sure.
please.
Hold on, please hold.
Oh my God.
Okay, go ahead. 15, yep, 1:45. Okay.
My name is Amanda McGonigal, and I'm here as a parent, but more importantly, as a supporter of our students, educators, staff, and families in our district. I understand that there are many impactful items on tonight's agenda, and while I know I cannot reference them specifically, I want to focus on a critical principle that underpins all the decisions that we make as a district. Ensuring that the voices of educators, those who are responsible for carrying out the objectives of this committee, are heard and valued in the decision-making processes. Your very own policy, Policy BA, states clearly that you, quote, will allow the people responsible for carrying out the objectives in your district to have a role in setting them. It is critical to this committee's work.
That policy is not just a guideline, it is a commitment to transparency, collaboration, and respect for the expertise of our teachers and staff. And so my ask to you tonight is this: before acting on anything, before approving anything tonight, ask yourselves, did you do this as your own policy dictates? By ensuring that the input of teachers and educators was sought and incorporated. If the answer is no, I believe it's crucial to reflect on why that is. Why have the individuals most responsible for carrying out these objectives not been offered a seat at this table after repeated asks from staff and parents, many of whom are here tonight? How can we as a district expect successful implementation of policies or initiatives if those executing them are left out of the process? Students, teachers, staff, and families deserve to know that their perspectives are not just heard, but genuinely reflected in the decisions made here tonight. We can and should do better by the educators who are at the core of everything that we aim to achieve. Their involvement isn't just a courtesy, it is a necessity for success. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Oh, wait, thank you all. This is gonna be our last one because we've got to get moving.
I figured I'm not gonna be long. Hi, my name is Jen McCarthy. I'd like to know if I could have access to the public record of the superintendent's evaluations. They are public record before you vote on them. So I'm wondering if I could see those. I did put in a request, I think it was May 6th.
And that's how the process works. So. go
Okay,
through
so I
Sharon.
wait, right? So
Yep.
those are those, can I have access to those before they're voted on? If it's within the 10 days, correct?
We're voting on them tonight, so.
Oh, you're
you'll-
voting
And
on
you'll
them
get them. You'll get them whenever they go through Sharon. That's the process.
Oh, so maybe I could get a copy tonight since I'm here.
I'm not gonna, we're not gonna go back and forth. You
Okay,
know what the
thank
process
you.
is because you've made
Yeah.
requests and Sharon's very clear with how the process works. Okay. All right. Next up, we have presentation on the revised elementary report cards. Yes, come on up. I think there's a whole slew of you guys.
So with attention to the current Massachusetts curriculum frameworks and our updated curricular materials, our teachers and instructional leaders have collaborated to revise our kindergarten through grade 4 report cards. This evening, we will hear from Dr. Sonia Tellier, Dr. Erin Custodio, Mrs. Karen Carson, and Mr. Andrew O'Sullivan. The team is also joined by our elementary principals and several of our elementary teachers. So I'll turn it over.
Great.
Dr. Tellier.
Thank you, Dr. Dorr. All right. So our team is going to take you through a high-level overview, and then we have some additional information that we're going to provide you when we get a little bit further into our presentation. So the slides are here behind you. I recognize, and then we'll give you copies as we go. Dr. Dorr has kindly introduced us, and then we're also joined by a team of our elementary teachers and elementary principals. Several of our teachers also serve in the role of grade level leader, which is a teacher leadership role. And so they've had multiple different teams that they participated in and brought the information back to their whole grade levels and their whole schools as part of our process. So we are excited to share. I'm not going to spend long on here so that we can move ahead. But our work is anchored in the Massachusetts curriculum frameworks. And I think what's particularly important is that when we look back, and Karen's going to share a little bit more information about the timeline, but it's been a little over 10 years since the last time we updated the elementary report cards. And when you think about even the top 4 subjects that we most commonly talk about and take up the greatest amount of time in students' daily learning routines, our science standards were updated in 2016. Our math and ELA standards were updated in 2017, and our social studies standards were updated in 2018. So just those 4 subjects alone, the timing of our last report card update, and then thinking about what we're reporting on, what we're doing in the classroom is not exactly aligned to the way that our report card is currently made available. So emphasizing where everything begins with the standards, and then the other part of this, and it's going to come up a couple times in our presentation, that our focus is on those standards and what students need to know and be able to do by the end of the year with those standards so that they're in fact ready to move on to the next grade.
Thank you, Sonia. So in addition to, kind of keeping those standards at the heart of our approach, the other key belief guiding our work really is that grading at its core is about communication. Grades should tell a story, both to students and families, about where a student's strong, where they need support, and how they can grow. When teachers all use consistent scoring criteria and share clear expectations, we're not only raising the bar, we're building a culture of excellence and persistence. And the redesign of our report card aims to do just that. Thanks. And as Sonia was just saying, why, so the question really becomes like, why now? And she really, the biggest piece in all of it really is that the last time we revised the report cards was a decade ago, and all of the stanzas have been updated. This new version of the report card reflects those changes. It aligns with current research on effective assessment. It focuses on what students are actually learning, supports personalized instruction, and helps ensure vertical and horizontal alignment across the grades. And just as important, it strengthens communications between teachers, students, and families. So it's been quite a process, quite a journey. We began with the idea phase kind of back in the spring of 2022. Lots of ideas were being tossed around at that point, but the overall goal was to create a report card that not only reflected student progress accurately, but also valued the voices of educators and families. Throughout the process, we brought together teachers, administrators, and family members for frequent and collaborative discussions. During the 2022-2023 school year, our focus was mainly on research, discovery, and learning. We gathered feedback, reviewed models from other districts. We worked with stakeholders, including teachers and families, to begin to define what we wanted our reporting to communicate. Through professional development, we learned more about grading for proficiency. We took our first stab at identifying priority standards, began to develop proficiency scales, and deepened our own understanding of how to align reporting with what truly matters in classrooms. The next year, 2023-2024, we shifted from planning to development. We met regularly to design, draft, and revise report card components. We prepared for a field test of the proficiency scale, finalized any changes in priority standards, and discussed ways to collect and organize information about student progress, collected feedback, and made improvements along the way. Here we are near the end of 2024-2025. And looking back over this year, we've completed a two-phase field test using proficiency scales as a way of grading and reporting progress towards those year-end standards. We began the fun of the design and format of what it would look like now that we were clearer on what we wanted it to say. And over the past few months, we've continued to refine the report card with care and confidence while keeping our focus squarely on what matters most, our students' learning. I'm proud of the work our teachers and our teams have done. I think Falmouth should be proud of the work they've done. I'm really excited by the possibilities and the opportunities that these new report cards come. And as we look more deeply into them now, I'm hoping you'll share that same excitement.
So this next slide really helps to, I think, bring to light how this work was possible. So in addition to, the professional development sessions that we've had over the past few years with teachers, I think it is really important for us to highlight our monthly feedback cycle, which here in Falmouth is really just how we do business. It's how we, get any new, projects or anything off the ground. It's how we align practices and so forth. And so our grade level leaders, many of whom are here this evening, we have 2.5 hours with our K-2 teachers every month. So the three of us work with them, and we get to work on things like selecting priority standards and fine-tuning things, or looking at prototypes for, like a report card and getting feedback from them. And then later in the afternoon, we have another 2.5 hours with our teachers in grades 3 and 4. So we have a lot of time to workshop and do these different things with teachers and to create common understandings. And then what's really cool is that we set an agenda for our school-based meetings. They're school-based grade level meetings that happen 1 Tuesday per month, where the grade level leaders bring back that information to their grade level team. So they're really disseminating the information that, that has been discussed during the grade level leader meetings. And then typically what we ask for is some kind of outcome from that meeting, some feedback. So it's just this constant loop, which has been really important. And I do have to say that this is the 3rd public school district that I've worked in my career, and nowhere that I've been has there been that type of a structure put in place that allows for that. So we should be very proud of that, but we really wanted to highlight some of the monthly feedback that we're able to gather from teachers in addition to the professional development sessions. So I think that this will be a really helpful visual for everyone. So the new report card, what it is and what it's not. Going back to that graphic that Karen showed, we have been to a lot of places over the past few years. And I have been someone who's been present on that journey from the very beginning. And we have ended up in a place that I think we all feel really, really positive about, our teachers included. And so I really just kind of want to make sure that everyone is on the same page about what it is and what it's not. So again, it is standards based. Our current report card reflects pieces of standards, like some skills and so forth that were sort of like lifted from the standard. But this approach is really ensuring that we are measuring student proficiency toward the ultimate goal, and that we're not picking and choosing which parts we see as more important. Again, it's a communication tool focused on what students know and can do. It's certainly an indication of learning relative to end of year expectations, meaning what that final goal is, not what is appropriate for maybe like, halfway through the school year, but with the end in mind, where are they on that path? And so that's going to be a little bit of a shift, just, something that we have to make sure that everyone understands. And it's really, I think this is so important, it's designed to promote equity in grading, utilizing proficiency scales. Right now, it's one of the things that we've unearthed in our conversations about this is how different teachers in different grade levels have a different sort of approach. And because of that, it's a little bit more subjective. So sometimes what your student comes home with is teacher dependent, if that makes sense. And so I think that the addition of the proficiency scales is just really such a tremendous tool because everyone is being held to the exact same criteria. So that is something we're really proud of. And, in that same vein, it just makes it more objective and, because it's based on clear, consistent criteria without all that room for interpretation. So it's just as important, I think, to say what the new report card is not, because we've been on a journey, like all over the place, right? We've been to many places. And so I know that there's some thought, there's some feeling in the community like, oh, is this a sticker or a badge book? It is not. It is not. We put that really clearly. There have been many ideas that have been tossed around in the past 3 years. And that may have been, there was a quite lofty idea that we tossed around and we realized that that's not really what teachers were looking for. That's not where they felt we needed to put our time and attention. And so that is not a thing. So we wanted to make sure that you all know that we have shifted gears and it is a report card. In that same vein, it is not a student journal. It is not based on an arbitrary timeline with, sort of like self-imposed benchmarks throughout the year. An example of that might be, I was a former kindergarten teacher and, we used to get together with our you know, colleagues and say, okay, so their report cards in December, if they know the first 13 letters, we're gonna give them a 3 because that's appropriate for now, right? We would decide that and score accordingly. With this, we're saying, no, it's the end in mind. If the goal is to know all of the letters by the end of the year, we're just going to report their progress at this point in time. Understanding that it's okay if they're not all the way there. So that's going to be a little shift. It's going to be exciting to see that come to fruition. Again, and it's not grades based on points or percentages, but what can they do? What can they do? And so it is not subjective and based on personal interpretation, which is really exciting for us to be able to say. And I just want to reiterate just how hard our teachers have worked on this. And it is so nice to be at a place where we have had some tumultuous moments with disagreement on what it should look like, and to be able to arrive to a place where teachers are excited about it and ready to do it is it's really cool. It's really cool to see it all come together.
Hi, everyone.
That's tiny.
I'm Andrew, and you guys are going to get copies.
Oh, okay,
And then there's also big ones hung up on the wall, so that will be an opportunity to see them as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's
Thanks.
different grades around.
Yeah, we put
Andrew's
up.
very proud of those.
We'll be sure
I
to
am.
look at that.
Hanging up is grades 2 and 3. In the folders that you guys are getting, you'll have a copy of the old report or the current report cards, and then also what we're proposing for new report cards, so you can compare them and see all of the grade levels in there for K-4. I can be a talker, and so I think they gave me 2 slides that are very similar on purpose, but in a moment, you're going to see the proposed report cards, and there are 4 points that I want to bring everyone's attention to. And one of them is that up on the top of this proposed report card, you'll see that administrative information that you're used to seeing, who the student's teacher is, the school year, what the attendance rates are, so on and so forth. You'll see space for there to be comments right up on the top. We thought it was important that the comments are at the forefront, and we, over the last few meetings we've had, agreed that we need to increase how much space there is for teachers to give comments, because it's an opportunity to paint a clearer picture than you can in just one little descriptive term or one piece of a grade. We're also proposing that we move from having 3 reporting periods to 2 reporting periods. So you'll see 2 columns on the report card for that. And then the piece that excites me the most, honestly, this is where my special education background comes out, is what are some skills that our students are working on besides academics that ultimately support academics, is our Clipper habits. So the Clipper habits, we went through this collaborative and intentional process to identify what some core skills are that students need to have in order to make academic progress and develop appropriately socially as well. And so what we did was listed each of those skills. For example, I am able to pay attention in class, or I am able to persist, right? Specific skills that are measurable and a teacher can see. Those Clipper habits originally were on the bottom right-hand corner of the back page of the report card. And a lot of teachers were like, we think that these are really important skills, not only for school, but to be a lifelong member, right? And so we moved those up to the top left corner on the front page so that it's one of the first things that you see. And those are also being graded using the same descriptive terms that we're going to look at on the next page. But we, at one point, had 2 different rating scales, and we were like, why are we rating them differently? Academics are just as important as some of those other skills. So let's use the common language there.
So let's talk a little bit more in depth about the performance indicators. In traditional grading, students get one overall grade per subject, an A, B. I think our elementary is 3s, 4s. And that one grade can include a lot of things like participation, work completion, in addition to the information that they've learned. In standards-based reporting, the biggest shift is that students are assessed on how well they are doing on a specific skill or standard. As Erin was talking about earlier, in terms of that subjectivity piece, that's kind of where that comes in, where we're really clear about what it is students need to know and be able to do. And we're not saying, well, but they also always do their work and they're also kind to their friends. Like that doesn't factor into the grade in math about whether or not they can divide fractions, but it can in traditional grading. So we're using a 4-point scale. I'm gonna kind of start at the bottom and work our way up for just to make it a little bit more of a progressive climb. That beginning at the bottom really would be used when something is brand new. We really haven't started. It is what we're talking about. It is the student is just getting started. From there, we move into developing. And here the student is starting to build an understanding, but is still kind of working on the basics. They need some more time. They might need some help. And this can be common when a topic is new as well. So from there, we move into progressing towards the standard. This was a stop along the way. Teachers felt really strongly about needing before we got to MET. So the progressing is the students making progress, is on track, but hasn't fully mastered the skill yet. So they may have met all of the criteria for developing. In a lot of the criteria, some of our standards are pretty, like there's a lot to them. So they might be able to do some of those things, but not all of them yet. And we wanted a place to kind of recognize that. And so that's what that progressing is for. So they can do the developing, most of them met, but they're not quite there yet. And then the ultimate goal is meeting the standard. It is what the students need to know and be able to do by the end of the learning period. Kind of like GPS, you put in, you want to go home and you go home. And that's where our standard is. And so those will be the grades. On the report card, we'll use the 3 letters. You'd be surprised at how many different ways you can say the same things, kind of thing, the semantics. But we also wanted to be really mindful of not using words that started with an A or a B, like, and just use 1 letters, because we really are trying to make that shift towards that standards based. And you know, we all went to school and had those traditional grades. And so we tried to avoid that to assist in that shift. So those will be the actual grades students would receive.
All right. So now I will come around to you. I saw you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Also included, so as Andrew said, there's the copy of the current report cards, the proposed report card, and there's welcome.
It's like you knew that we were gonna jump ahead and stop listening.
This is
Like
like
teachers, I know.
You don't hand out the stuff, so you.
I know, they knew.
Not our first word.
And well provisioned, another one of our great strategies. There's also a copy of the slides for you in the folder. When you get in there, and then the pockets were labeled, they start kindergarten and they go down to 4 on both sides. So, as you're taking a look at them, and again, as Andrew said, we have grades 2 and 3 posted in the enlarged versions. We are open to questions as you have them, and then we're also going to involve others potentially in answering questions. They've joined us tonight specifically, both to be part of our presentation and to answer questions for you.
Before So now that we have this and we can see the font, before we go too deep on individuals, can you sort of give us the high points of, like, if we're looking at English language arts, there's like some abbreviations in there. Can you just sort of give us the high points of what it is that we're looking at and why it's like this?
Is the standard. So you look, so can we look at, grade 1, just for example?
Where's the grade?
So
Oh, kindergarten.
it'll say grade
Okay.
1 at the top. Let's look at grade 1. And under English language arts, so first column on the left.
Okay.
Right, there's a little subheading for reading, and it'll say, so for example, on this one, it says retell stories, including key details and demonstrate understanding of the central message or lesson. That is the standard from the Massachusetts state frameworks.
Okay.
We did work to put it in, it can be really jargony, the framework, so we did try to make the language a little bit friendlier. What you see in parentheses, that RL.1.2 is the code that matches the full standard in the frameworks. So if somebody wanted to reference the standards, they would know exactly which one we were talking about. And that same pattern follows through all of the content areas. So you have the standard followed by the code that comes from the frameworks.
Okay.
There are a few places where some of the more jargony type language did stay because it was specific to a subject. But as a team of 4, we've spent quite a bit of time trying to make it more family friendly.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to walk through. I think everybody's got questions, so
Yeah.
we'll just start on the end and Mike start us off and then we'll just go
Oh,
over.
Terry had her hand up first, though. I
Okay.
felt badly. Go on. Terry.
Okay. I was a person that had to get the effort part of teaching beat out of me. Well, the Clipper Habits did it, and I went to the explanation they gave in one of the forums, and that really, if you look at those things that you think of, the effort covers are enumerated very well by that. I just have one little technical question. What happens if kids don't end the year meeting? Do they have a certain number of standards they have to meet to pass on to the next grade?
I don't think so.
No, so even now, students don't all have 3s and 4s before they go on to the next grade. Part of it is the information too, for where next year's teacher can begin and where small group instruction may happen and things of that nature. But we haven't set it up that you have to have a certain number.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and go in order so I don't lose track. So did you have any questions?
Not right now.
Yeah. Just off of what you just answered, Terry, is there a number which would indicate they cannot progress to the next grade, or does that not happen?
No, we don't. There are numbers, stuff like that.
When I went to the presentation at T-Ticket, I had asked, and I just wanted to ask again so that you could answer it for everyone else. I was wondering if there was an indicator above met, like exceeds expectations, which is sometimes in evaluations like this, and I'll let you answer that.
So we felt strongly as a group, that teachers specifically, that really, if we're doing true standards-based reporting, it is the standard. The standard is what it is you're trying to meet. We recognize that there are students who go above and beyond, and there are other places where that can be indicated, whether it's through a parent conference, whether it's in the comment section. Teachers will continue to offer challenges and enrichment. That doesn't all go away. But in a standards-based report card, the standard is the gold standard. So does that?
That does, yeah.
Does
No,
that
and I
answer your
got
question?
answered at the.
Yeah. Well,
And I know, but I just wanted to ask it so everyone.
say the same,
No, I
yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Can I ask one last part? So, I love that, I'm sorry, I forget your name.
Erin.
I love that description of the cycle of feedback, because I'd never heard that before, and that was wonderful. I was wondering if there was ever any, what I didn't get at that presentation was whether there were some teachers who were not in favor. It seemed like from what I talked to people in that room that it was, but, for staff, I mean, in that feedback cycle, everyone was included, but in this process, it was grade leaders. So was there ever a survey or anything like that that would indicate overall everybody is
excited about moving forward. I think that we know as teachers that we will have to have a new report card because we're really not reporting on the standards right now. And I think that we've been so part of the process, every step. I mean, any changes that we thought should be made, we bring back as grade level leaders. So we meet with our grade level and we bring back suggestions or things that are, important. And we have tweaked it so many times. So I don't think that now there's anyone who's saying they don't want this. We're ready to just go and start, grading this way. Great.
And that, can I add to that? That doesn't mean that every teacher is in favor of every single thing. There may be a standard on the report card that some teacher didn't think was a priority, or a priority was left off, or some of us still think effort grades should be included. It doesn't mean that every single thing is agreed to by every single teacher. That would be impossible. But in general, everything we as grade level leaders brought back, and we give a lot of feedback this year. So I would say almost most teachers are on board with having this new report card.
Coming from a teacher, I'm not a grade level leader. And I still feel like my voice was still heard and I was still part of the process, even going through my grade level leader, but the process, my voice was heard. Right.
I had a quick question that might be for Sonia. I keep hearing that this has to get done. Is the state DESE making us do this?
We have to report on student learning. Our learning has to be aligned with the state standards. So in order for them to do their job of reporting, we have to update to make it, has DESE said.
So has DESE said you need to change the report card? Is my question.
In those terms? No, I mean, that's part of our responsibility if we're gonna report on what students are learning, right? Then our report card has to be aligned to what they're learning.
All right, follow-up question. Will this new report card, if I'm looking at it, and I've done rubrics now for 15, 16 years with my students, takes a lot more time. This new grading system, this new report card has more lines than the old report card, correct? So then teachers will have to do more work breaking these down. And are we concerned about the
We're happy
time?
to talk about that.
Yeah.
So yes, this is more, but these are much more specific skills.
I
And
understand
that we worked this is what the students need to learn.
Okay.
And it might be a little more wordy, but with the report cards that we have now. And again, like Andrew, I can be talking, so I'll try to curb myself, but. One thing I do want to talk about quickly is the subjective nature of a 2, which means right now, currently meeting with support. So you
I
get a
understand
2.
that. I'm just concerned about the extra work.
So you get a 2, right? And you're like, okay, what part, it's very unclear. So these are very specific in order to kind of combat that, so that all of the teachers, in terms of work, we as teachers collect work anyways, to justify any grade that we would give a student on any report card. So in the beginning, yes, when they were talking about pieces of evidence, and again, at the first clunky initiation of this, that was a big concern of teachers. That is no longer a concern for the teachers at my school, most of the teachers that we've talked to, this has been clarified to us. We already collect evidence. This is not going to be anything different. It's kind of aligned to what we teach in the curriculum anyway. So it's not like we're creating new work. This is what the Massachusetts standards are based on, and our math program that we have and the new ELA program that we're going to have next year are geared towards helping us kind of organically come up with evidence for these.
And because of the rubric or the performance indicators, it's actually, I think, will make it easier to grade because it's so specific. This is what they need to get this, on their report card. So where before, like you said, it was, a little subjective and it wasn't as clear. So I think parents are going to appreciate how clear it is. I think teachers appreciate having those rubrics and being able to, grade accordingly.
Well, instead of 3 trimesters or reporting periods, this one will only be 2.
And it will give parents more specific information than what our current report card gives us. So yes, this one's more specific and may look like it's more, but we're already reporting 3 times versus with this new one, it will only be 2. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not any more work.
Thank you. So I'm more concerned with the procedure of how this went about. This might be the best thing ever. I do think that rubrics do take more time in this aspect. But we had this discussion last year with the sticker books and it was supposed to be dead. So, and then we were told that it wasn't happening. And then for everyone at home and here that knows, in September, October, I asked about this. I said it was dead. The committee has to vote on this. And I think it would be best to have a full survey of the full teacher body, so we know everyone's ideas about this, because I have received complaints over this process of it not being transparent and extra work and all that stuff. I do have an issue with the process and how it's coming up. We have to vote on it in June, where we might have 3 new members of the committee in order to have it out next year. Yeah, I don't think that this process was done well, and I would like to hear from all of the teachers in an anonymous survey. And I know that's probably not gonna happen, but still, that's what I'm asking for. Because a lot of teachers over the last few years have been very vocal about this whole process and the extra work, et cetera.
Can we like elaborate what the extra, what are they saying the extra work is?
Well,
I mean, since
can I ask a
the sticker book is done, like what do they say is going?
I just
We're
want to
already
ask a
doing all
clarifying
this.
question that goes with that, because it seems like that's 2 separate things. The process that led us to this is very different than what we've done this year and what we've ended up with. So I think if you ask teachers and you put out a
Yes.
survey like that, I
Yeah,
would
that's my
want you to
concern.
make it clear that those are separate things.
They are separate. So
Yeah.
the majority of the complaints were last year
The last 2 years
and
and
in the fall. And I asked the chairperson, what's the status of this? Oh, we'll get you an update, we'll get you an update. We got an update a month ago. So this might be great. I don't know, and I'm sure it is great. I'm not sure, but I would like to hear from all the teachers, because teachers have come to me over and said this, we don't like this, we don't like this, and I vocalize it. September, October, I asked several times, what's happening with this? Nothing's happening, nothing's happening. So the majority of the committee had no idea any of this is happening. So I would love to hear, and if what you're saying is correct, that's great, but I would love to hear from, all the teachers to get as much feedback as possible, because we weren't involved in those small meetings, does that make sense?
So as a teacher, thank you for having our back. Thank you for being there. to
Because
see,
that's
like,
the last I heard of it
However,
was.
but the one thing I do want to say is this cycle of, it is not just like 5 people sit in a room and make
Right.
decisions. It is, we go back to our team. Our team's like, I don't like this, ask this question, blah, blah, blah. And we go back and we all have those conversations. And so it's not, I don't want you to think that it's, because again, appreciate that you're looking out for the teachers so much, but this, I feel like the teachers, I don't blame you for not wanting to hear that, but like this.
No, I know,
we've
and
had
that might
such
be
a
great.
Process, and we've been so involved, and 2 years ago, if I sat at this meeting, I would have been like, I don't want to do this, like when they
Yeah,
first rolled that out, 1.5 years ago, I was still like, I'm not sure about this.
yeah, that's what I'm
Now I
hearing.
can stand here, I can sit here
And
tonight
I
and
was
tell
asking
you,
for
I
updates.
am sure about this, I want
Yeah.
this, I want this starting in June, or starting in September. It's like, it's gonna be a turnaround, it's gonna be a change, but it's necessary and it's gonna be so much better communication with families. I just feel like it's a positive thing. So again, I just want to let you know, appreciate so much that you guys are concerned about us. And yes, this was a clunky rollout. I don't think anybody would say otherwise. And at first teachers were like, no, no, no. But if recently it's mostly been end of last year and mostly this year, it has completely shifted to, please let this go through because we've worked so hard on it. We feel positive about it. So that's, I just want.
That'd be
So
great,
we're
yeah.
gonna keep going, because I want to make sure everybody gets a chance. I'm gonna go in order so I don't lose track. Do
Sure.
you have anything?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi. Thank you for putting comments on the first page. And
I know.
thank you for making more room for comments. Because inevitably, every time we would get our report cards and they'd come in the envelope like this, I always immediately flipped it over to read the comments.
Me too.
Because I never felt like the story was told in the lines of, so thank you for putting that, again, the comments, like that really, that's where the teachers can be specific with the students. And as a parent, that's what you want to hear. I know they can read. That's great. I'm grateful to know that they need help with X, Y, and Z. And I think that your very intentional, thoughtful process here with the necessary update to stay in line with the state standard is great. I too was concerned that it was gonna be more lines and perhaps more work. And I'm grateful to have some panel of folks up here that I trust implicitly. If they tell me that it was a clunky rollout, honest answer. Maybe you didn't agree with everything, but you felt like your voice was heard. And that not everybody agrees, but everybody is happy with this or can live with this now. So I appreciate this. I appreciate the panel's update with the slides. I wish I could read them, but I appreciate the panel slides as far as how we got here, each year what you did. I'm excited for this.
We are too.
Yeah.
I feel bad that the process, I feel like the process is overshadowing
Yes.
the work
content,
that the
yes,
teachers
yes.
had done and where we are. I mean, when we finally, at one of our last grade level meetings, like I said to him, like, I have goosebumps over this like when we finally said, okay, here it is, this is what's going to school committee.
Yes.
And we really had that moment where like, it was emotional. I
Yeah.
mean, it has been a clunky process maybe, but
Sure.
that can't overshadow the hard work
And the need.
and the need
Sure.
to move forward.
Sure. I think Dr. Tellier said it best, that we needed to update, we needed to be in alignment with the state. This is how we report things out. I'm excited. It wasn't if you asked me 3 years ago, back in 2022, I would have had a different story. But I think, it sounds like you've had multiple discussions ad nauseum, and that we're in a place where you're
There's
ready.
a lot of give and take.
Sure.
Right? A lot of back and forth. We can do this, we can't do that. Like, this has to be, okay, we can do that, we can honor that, like, and that's the way the process should work.
And I love your slide that what it is and what it isn't. I think that there was a lot of heavy weight on, we definitely don't want a sticker book.
Yeah.
We are
Let's stop
not
talking
interested,
about sticker books.
we are not doing that.
So many lives that started.
Right.
That we wanted to just, to put that out there.
Sure.
And we reacted to different options to know in the end what
Yeah.
we wanted the product to be. So also 2 years from now, we're not coming back to you with,
Right.
hey, we've got this other idea, right?
Right.
Like, and that's been part of it. It's making meaning. We reacted to things to get to.
That's great. That's all I got, but thank you very much. It's been very helpful.
One thing that I feel like, I just want to say, like, I think that kind of, has helped us like cross the finish line, like, or get closer to that finish line is, I think we've come to the conclusion, I don't want to speak for the teachers, but I think the teachers like are seeing that we do play for the same team. Because sometimes there's that feeling of like these administrators who are imposing things on us and versus us who, are in the trenches, and we play different positions, right? But I don't think that the teachers feel like, I think they understand that we are trying to support them and make sure that, there's a product that is going to support their practice. And I don't know that that's always, like the feeling, but I feel like this year in particular, we feel it, and we're getting to that place, and that is what makes the work possible. That is what allows us to make progress. So
Kelly, I just have one more quick thing. When you did your presentations at the schools, what was the feedback from the parents?
So that's sort of interesting. We didn't have, I think it was only T-Ticket that had, so I'm gonna have to I'll turn that over to these two ladies because we did not have.
See a panel of T-Ticket parents behind you.
So Karen and I presented at T-Ticket. We did have a few parents come in and we did some similar slides and then we had all 5 of them. So kindergarten through 4, just up on the walls. And we spent some time, Terry referenced talking about the Clipper habits and, we had a few conversations about that. And some people just brought up their own children's sort of scenarios. And we talked about what that could look like all the way from open house, right? That's the first touch point in August. We flipped Meet Your Teacher Night to student-led experiences. So the students are showcasing what they do, where this is my cubby, this is my desk, this is what learning looks like, to the conferences. And then there was appreciation that the conference in December isn't on a Tuesday, where the first report card comes on Friday, but there's an opportunity to take that conference conversation and have some more learning that could still change what that feedback might look like when they get to the report card.
Sure.
And then it was a funny reaction between, hey, we get to expand the comment, and the parents like, yes. And one of the teachers was like, how big? So that was the tone, like that's where some of the conversation could shift to. And then just one thing, when Terry brought up the habits that we haven't shared, but we probably should have, the Clipper habits come from charting the course to graduation. These habits come from our pre-K to age 22 vision of what we want a graduate to know and be able to do. And Jenna Richard didn't mention it tonight, but when we've talked about the skills, in some areas they're referred to as soft skills, but in the career workforce, they're being referred to as durable skills. And we're really excited that, we're calling out these durable skills. And that's the one thing on all 5 grades that you have in front of you is consistent. It's the same skills on all 5. And we're talking about what students are able to demonstrate as they build that out. And that's been really important too. And it's actually the one linking piece that's just, it keeps coming up in conversation, that when we move beyond effort and talked about those skills, seeing when they play out, and then the students who demonstrated them tonight.
Yeah.
And off of that too, you might notice on it that kindergarten has a little bit more under the Clipper habits section with a subtitle of readiness. And that came out of the feedback from the kindergarten teachers that there are some habits that are really focused on over their year that they wanted reflected on this report card. So that readiness skills section that you see in kindergarten does not carry into grade 1, 2 onwards and so forth.
Thank you. Glenn, did you have anything, or Margaret?
I just wanted to say I'm so impressed with this thoughtful, collaborative team approach to developing this. And that we heard earlier the plea to listen to teachers, which is always, we always need to do, but this is a teacher-driven effort, and the teachers are the experts in communicating with parents and about their students. And so I want to thank you for your hard work. I also want to say that, I'm an educator myself, and 10 years, it's been 10 years since the last revision to report cards. Education has changed so dramatically, and the jargon and the expectations. And I think this is excellent because, even for kindergarten, it gives parents a sense of the complexity of what is expected of students these days. And also for the ELA component, it really aligns with the science of reading. So, so this is just really excellent work. So I just thank you on behalf of the schools.
Margaret.
To everything. Hopefully I will go quick. I think messy processes often end in good results. And so I'm glad you had a messy process and now you get good results. Number 2, I'm very, very impressed with the monthly feedback cycle. I think that was so important for us to really see and how that happens. Number 3, I also like what it is and what it is not. And, an underscore that is not often said by teachers, I've been a teacher almost all my life, is grading is so subjective. And this takes it out of, and I've never really heard that said publicly, and I'm so glad it was said tonight, because it takes it out of the subjective. And the other thing, and my end of my career was teaching college students, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, You give a student a B, and that doesn't mean anything. What do they know and what do they not know? And that you start this very early in their elementary school. As they move through school, they can begin to understand that there are certain things they have to learn and they have to reach certain standards, and it is so impressive. Thank you all for your hard work. Thank all the teachers. We're really grateful for you.
Thank you.
Chris, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I feel bad being the caboose here.
Oh, you're not. I still didn't
I feel
go.
like I need to be quick. Probably not gonna be able to get to say everything I want, but thank you for all the hard work. And I think at the end of the day, we all just care that the teachers, that we do have the teachers back and that it was a collaborative process. And I think it's just comforting to know that, yeah, I mean, it's for any new process, there's gonna be bumps in the road, things to figure out. And so, for us, just knowing that the teachers are involved in the process and that they have a voice, that's what we care about, and that's what we want to know. And so I can appreciate the amount of work and effort that goes into this, and kind of mimicking what Margaret was just saying about, taking the ambiguity out of it, just makes it able to be applied. We have 4 different elementary schools, so being able to be consistent, kind of from an equity standpoint, and being more measurable in terms of measuring the progress, and across, all the grades and across the different schools. So, I appreciate all the hard work that went into this. A couple questions I had was, so it's twice a year that they do the evaluation. So if a student kind of halfway through, let's say they're more towards like, developing or, progressing, is that kind of a cue where the teacher might know what to focus on to try and bring them up to that level? Is that kind of how they would say, okay, we might need to focus a little bit more in certain areas?
Yeah.
Probably as they do, I guess, with the current structure.
Yeah,
but-
so the proficiency skills that we're literally developing one for every single one of the standards that you see on the report card. And so I think that you really get some guidance in looking at that, like, okay, in order for the student to progress to be in the he's progressed twice, to get to progressing, these are the things that are missing. So it really does kind of like break down the standard into like parts that are a little more accessible instead of, just looking at like the whole thing down. The way they're written makes it's a visual for them. So I do think that will help teachers to target more specific skills with students.
And then, so let's say like 4th graders who are then going on to Morse Pond, is there a way where, so let's say if they might be more towards developing or progressing towards, is there a way where that kind of gets translated up to the next level so that the teachers that are getting them can kind of say, okay, well, here's where they're a little bit weaker and we can kind of work on that, just, I guess, up through the whole system?
Yes, so if you think of the report card, kind of like a summary, in between the beginning of the year and the first report card, we're doing our benchmark assessments in literacy and in numeracy, right? So there's additional information. We can use that for grouping. It allows us to monitor where students are. We do that again in March, so it's halfway between that first report card and the end of the year. So we have that additional information. And then we do it again at the end of the year, about the same time as the report card. So that's additional information that we're taking in and data where we can see how the students are progressing over time, not only individually, but compared to their class and their grade level. And then it can, we can keep zooming out to make that look. And then comparing that information, what they're doing on assignments in their classroom, and then using the scale. So we have all of that information that we're able to take together, and the report card is a summary. But there's a lot of conversation, a lot of support that happens in that time in between.
Gotcha. I think I had another, sorry.
No, you're fine. You want me to, I have one, so.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
Go
you
ahead.
can keep thinking.
Thank
So I echo all of this. I think it's wonderful. So I'm already thinking like moving forward. This is a lot of words. And I'm thinking about needing to translate this, because our families that English is not their first language are going to need to be able to access it, or even literacy level. So I just want to like throw that out there for, down the road, that we want to make sure that people can understand what it says if they're reading it in non-English.
one of the biggest things for us is shifting into family-friendly language and having conversations that we have regularly with Christine Nicholson, our ELD department, and ELD teachers about what matches up to if we're using an electronic translator tool, right? Like the simplicity of the language.
They don't always work.
But we also, because the report card goes in students' records and it's maintained, we send it out to professional translation service. And so then the other thing that we're working on too is like the way that our report cards are currently translated, all of the translations aren't in PowerSchool, right? So it's like a little bit of a printing and you have the English and the translation. So we're working to see what we can do in one of the more current updates to PowerSchool to see if we can get it to generate the translation through that.
Awesome. I'm already like a step ahead. Yes. Did you think of it?
Yeah, actually,
Okay,
it was,
great.
that was one of them.
Oh, great.
And then is there an option, just, I don't know how many that might be blind or anything, if there is
Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
an
okay,
option in Braille or something, just thinking about kind of all the communities, all the different. I don't know if there's any.
I mean, I
Yeah.
would assume that if
We would be
we
able to
had that
send
need,
it.
we would be able to have that.
We haven't been asked for that, but I'm sure that's a part of what
Yeah.
our service would be able to provide us.
Always thinking.
And then, is there, will that kind of like that feedback group, will that kind of still be in effect as this is kind of getting rolled out?
That is the practice
I was-
that that's kind of like.
It's not,
how
it's
we
not
do
report
business.
card project
Yeah.
specific. It's how we do business, like
Gotcha.
Everything.
with
Oh,
everything.
nice.
Rolling out
That's
new
kind of our-
curriculum, you name it. You
Okay.
name it, anything that needs to be done, we tend to accomplish a lot of it through that framework.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was a lot of information, but really, really helpful. And we appreciate the work you guys put into it, of course, and that you all came to share it with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Right. Next up, we have presentation, discussion, and acting on the superintendent's evaluation. I need. Well, ready? There we go. It works. Okay. A lot of this is gonna look exactly the same because Glenda just did something very similar when she walked you guys through this the last time, but this is just the summary of the summative evaluation process. I guess circles are the theme, so much like the circle that that we just heard about with feedback, the summative evaluation is the last step before the cycle starts all over again with self-assessment, goal setting, and implementation, and it just keeps going round and round. So the summative evaluation, each member completes the end of cycle summative report. It's based on the goals, the standards, and then an overall performance ranking. And then each year there's a designee that compiles all the individual ones. This year it was me, into one document that takes each committee member's evaluation, combines them using the preponderance of evidence, and creates rankings for all the different pieces of the document. And then the formula for computing all of that is based on the summative document that we created last year, and then updated this year. Okay, so I can't see it. 1 second. Okay, so this is the summative standards. So the standards are instructional leadership, management and operations, family and community engagement, and professional culture. And in all 4 categories, Dr. Dorr received a ranking of proficient. The one thing we used to always have in the presentation was that proficient is the commonly accepted performance of the job. Exemplary only applies when it would be a model for another district. So it's a little bit more unusual to receive. There we go. The goals are set at the start of the year in a process with the evaluation subcommittee and are based on activities that we want to work on through the year. This year, the student learning goal was related to the equity audit.
The professional practice goal was related to building capacity to implement environmental stewardship. And the district improvement goal was implementing a communication strategy focused on community engagement. And in all three of the goals, the superintendent received a ranking of met the goal. Same category applies, that exceeded would be a model for another district. And when you combine all of those into the overall evaluation, the superintendent received a score of proficient. Same thing applies, which is performing the job. Exemplary would only be an exceptional ranking. That's it. It's really short, but we usually take an opportunity if anyone wants to share a comment about the superintendent's evaluation. Knowing that we are already at, I don't even know what time, but late, so please do not
1 hour.
go an hour over already. Terry, you're ready to go.
Okay, you told us to be succinct, so I wrote it down.
I know you always do that. I appreciate it.
I rated the standards and
Was it
wrote
still there?
comments,
Thank you.
but I did not give an overall rating on this year's Jessie evaluation document. A vote was taken at the beginning of the process to use 8 out of 20 indicators that were aligned to the superintendent's goals. 2 indicators that were not included are section 2E fiscal systems and section 3D family concerns. Including them would have been helpful for me to determine an overall rating. Going forward, more guidance from DESE on using indicators in conjunction with focus indicators would be beneficial. So the fiscal systems, I would have commented on the budget, the great work that Mr. Dart and Dr. Dora have done to get us an increase from last year. And then partway through the year, the family concerns arose to a big extent. So
Would you mind if I have that for evaluation subcommittee? Because we're going to do an evaluation of our process.
sure,
Is that okay? Because I don't want to lose it.
absolutely.
Thank you. Because part of the evaluation subcommittee's process is to then evaluate how the process went before we start it all over again next year. So thank you very much.
Did you decide that you wanted to add Terry's comment to your?
I want to keep it for evaluation subcommittee
I think that's a great idea.
yeah.
I'm not on evaluation, but as someone who's been on there before, I think Terry brings up some good points.
Yeah, I do
And I
too.
think that's a great idea.
And I don't want them to get lost. So,
Great.
yeah, thanks. Anyone
Sorry.
else want to make a comment? Mike?
I, Michael Heelan, did not evaluate the superintendent that way. Thank you.
Anyone else? I just want to reiterate what Terry said. I think it was limiting for especially my first time doing an evaluation to not be able to evaluate the superintendent on a broader range of the things that have impacted the district this year. Good and bad and all that. Yeah. Anyone else?
I'd just like to say what I had as a comment. And that was the district budgetary processes and operations have been exceptional, as has the relationship with the town that allows for funding all the programs that support safety, health, and social and emotional needs of students. Dr. Dura and Mr. Dot should be commended for leading this process and developing a strong working relationship with town leadership that has kept our finances stable and not experiencing a deficit, which is so common in many communities in Massachusetts, including our neighboring town of Barnstable.
Thank you.
Can I make specific comments on my evaluation that weren't added like that?
You can go after everybody else.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
I just would like to say that I commended Dr. Dorr on her commitment to and leadership on the issues of equity and meeting the needs of all students. And I wanted specifically to commend her on her leadership in the current climate regarding our immigrant students. She has been very steadfast and committed to protecting both the privacy and the educational rights of our students. And I think that's I think we're very fortunate to have a leader who is so committed to that issue right now.
Thank you. Margaret, do you have anything you want to add?
Well, in terms of what Terry said, I think that we really were evaluating the superintendent on the goals. And that could have been limiting. I think reviewing that as a subcommittee in terms of the process is important. But I think in terms of the goals, which is what we had to evaluate on, it seems like it was a reasonable evaluation, and I thank you for your work.
Did you, Melissa, did you say anything?
I
No,
didn't
you
yet.
commented on this, yeah, sorry.
But I would like to say that every year we try to make it better.
You do.
In my time sitting here, it is leaps and bounds better than what it was in the beginning. Well, my beginning. So that being said, was it perfect? No. Could it be better? Yes. But that's why we continue to go through the process. I think goals were limited. I think eliminating the family portion and the financial or budget portion bit us. So that being said, looking ahead, using this as a learning tool, I hope to look forward to next year and see what, how the process goes and the goals.
The one piece I wanted to add that was not reflected in the summative that I had commented on in mine was that I actually thought that the professional practice goal on the green initiatives should have been exemplary. I think we are a model for other districts on how to set an example for environmental stewardship and what that looks like, both, you know, from composting to buses to the lights and turning the heat down and, you know, all those things. And, you know, the kids, you know, kids do what you do, not what you tell them to do, as we know. So, and I think that the Green Ribbon Award and the presentation at MASC demonstrated that we are the model for what other districts should be doing. And I applaud you for leading us to that spot. So that was one piece that was different than the overall evaluation. And I want to borrow a phrase that I think might have been from Glenda's evaluation that said, you know, recognizing that you took on sort of the third rail. I think that was your phrase. That's it. Yeah. And the long overdue conversation about addressing the Lawrence School's need for renovation, our declining enrollment and what that's going to look like. And we knew it was not going to be a popular conversation, but it was a necessary one to start. And I appreciate that you were willing to do that and touch the third rail, if I can borrow the phrase. And, I think that we will be in the long term, we will benefit from as a district and as a community from finally taking on that conversation. So I look forward to next year. Thank you. Mike.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that in my evaluation, I went to the teachers union forum that they have at the rec. And I put much of what the teachers said in my evaluation. The majority of teachers do not feel heard. They feel like they're getting information after it's decided. And that happens year after year, and that was in their surveys that I put in there. Many teachers do not feel necessarily safe in our schools from the survey. I put that in there. The communication, the teachers don't feel there's communication. I've heard parents say there's no communication. We spent $40,000 last year on a consultant to send out emails. So my evaluation was not great, but not many of my comments made it. And I do want the teachers and parents to know that everything you tell me, I included in my evaluation. So that's it.
Thanks, Mike. Okay, I think that's everybody. Oh, yeah.
Are the individual evaluations available for the public?
No, the summative is.
Just
No,
the
the individual ones are definitely available.
Yes, they are.
For the
For the
We
public.
actually, we had this conversation, so we'll follow up with Mary. It used to be that the individual ones were always part of it, but the new guidance that we got from council is that they are no longer. But I will double check for sure.
That can't
No.
make any sense.
No.
I'm just telling you what the new guidance says.
It's public record.
I'm just telling you what the new guidance says. We're not gonna fight about it in a meeting.
Let's just release
We
them.
can, we will look into it and we'll find out. I mean, that's what we
reason
have
I-
lawyers for.
The only
That's
reason
gonna
I
be
was
lawyer.
asking is because I kept my comment very short tonight because I was excessively long
Yeah.
in my evaluation, and it took me a long time to do the evaluation. I put a lot of thought and effort into
Yes,
it, and
it
I
did.
don't wanna I'm not trying to be recognized for that. I just would love for it to be something that more than, I mean, I wrote it for Lori, but I would love for it to be something, all of ours to be something people could see. So that's why I asked.
Okay, we have to act on it. Is there a motion to accept the summative evaluation?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
No.
Any abstentions? All right, it passes. Thank you very much. And thanks to the evaluation subcommittee for all the work on it. Update on the budget.
All right, thank you. Paul has, his monthly, report, which is in, and then he has, I believe, one, highlight. He's gonna speak tonight.
So, just 30,000 foot, this is end of April. So at this time of the year, we start to prepare for year end. So certainly, there's gonna be adjustments to these numbers, especially since, and I'll get into this. The town approved the drawdown in the stabilization fund. And also we have an update from a circuit breaker additional award that came in. So if you look at just at the bottom line there, the light gray area, the budget 58,222,421. Sorry, now having to use glasses.
So now you know. You know how we feel now.
It's a CVS. right?
CVS special.
So, so we have about $14 million, 14, almost $15 million of remaining in the budget. And you'll see the line right above that, for non-salary items is a negative, an over budget $90,000. Well, the story behind that is that our out-of-district tuitions up until the stabilization of approval and then now the circuit breaker were carried on the budget. And now coming into May, we'll be transferring those into the stabilization fund. Those charges will go into the stabilization fund and into the circuit breaker, which will reimburse the budget. So this is a temporary measure. You can't, for example, you know, we have to pay these tuitions ahead of time. So quarterly or the beginning of the month. So we have to charge them to the budget until the funds become available from the stabilization fund, and now you do a journal entry and transfer them over. It's just a simple process. The numbers look worse than what the reality is. And so let me just talk about that in the second sheet for a moment. So we've been talking about this a lot all year round.
Wait, do we have a second?
Oh,
No.
yeah, I'm sorry, this one we passed out tonight.
Oh,
okay.
That stopped.
Oh, hold on, they got held up.
Hold on.
Okay.
My fault.
Sorry, no.
Okay, here they come.
They're coming around.
Thank you. Okay, so this is the, we've seen this similarly, from prior budget presentations. So the out-of-district tuition for fiscal year 25, we're projecting to be for the full year, 3,486,000. All right, so that's the expense side of it. Then the question is, how do we pay for it? So the first line that you see now, the circuit breaker is $830,630. All right, up in prior presentations, this number was roughly 653,000. So it's increased by 177,000. And that's because our circuit breaker, our out-of-district tuitions rose so high this year in comparison to last year, that we qualified for emergency relief from the state. So we received $177,000 in additional funds this year to cover this dramatic increase in district tuition for this year, all right?
Paul, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
I don't want it. So, but you said an additional, but it's not additional, right? Doesn't it just take it out of next year's?
No, actually, it doesn't.
Oh,
It
good.
is additional.
Oh,
That-
great. Thank you. I'm glad I asked.
Yeah, yeah. So, it is definitely not taken out in
That's great.
next year, so it is a big benefit. Now, so that's the 830. The payroll expense is 128,000 for the circuit breaker. So the net available for tuition is the 702,000 you see there. All right, so that's the one source. The second source is our tuition budget account, which is $1,247,000. And our third source is a fiscal year 25 240 grant. That's for 932,000. So, and you may remember last year, we switched salaries out of the 240 grant. We put all the tuition money in. It's no net change here, but it's just that more of that fund is now available to fund out of district tuition. So the total available funding is 2,882,000. All right, so out of these numbers, we would need $603,000 in additional money to cover that 3,486,000. We drew down, we started the year with 636,000 from the draw that we did in last year on the stabilization fund. We added to it the 275 from April, that draw. So we have $911,000 in the stabilization fund that we can use to this residual piece of 603,000. So that leaves us with 308,000. I don't want to get anybody too excited about that because our transportation, our out of district transportation is significantly over budget. So that means we have to move more tuition payments into this fund to help cover that cost. Some of this will be carried into next year, but not all of it. I won't have a final figure into the end of June. But some of this will be carried to help. The other news is, you know, again, when we started this, and we do this frequently with the Department of Student Services, we review these numbers on a monthly basis and more frequently if they start to shift. But we started the year with a good estimate of 2.8 million, and then the number significantly increased. This is a large increase. To give you a sense, the emergency relief fund that the state set up to help with this, there were so many districts facing this very same challenge that they had to cut in half the reimbursement level that they had to apply. So we qualified for over $400,000 in relief. We only got 177,000. That's because all of the other districts are facing the same challenges. And from what we can see from the budget discussions in the state, they're really going to try to address this from the coming year. So we're in a decent position right now. From a budgetary, these numbers are going to change, as I said. We go into May now. The only other point I want to add is at May 1st, we've shut down purchasing except for emergencies and things like graduations and so on. We've long been planning on that cycle. It gives us 2 months to make adjustments to get into the year-end period. We're in a good position. Next year, you know, we get some work to do, but, you know, we have a little bit of cushion here to bring us over to next year, all right?
Thank you.
That's the budget.
Questions for, yeah,
I have a question. When, on the supplemental page.
Yeah.
The first line, fiscal year 25 total out of district tuition, the
Yeah.
3,486,101. Is it appropriate to ask how many students that covers? And, just to highlight that these are specialized programs that Falmouth is unable to educate our, some of our students as well as, say, school choice. Is that correct?
It's correct. There are programs that we cannot provide here in Falmouth. Did you mention school choice though?
Yes, so in this
It's
3
not-
million, does that include the specialized program as well as school choice out of district? No,
No.
this is just the specialized
So,
program.
yeah, and I want to be clear on that point, because that often comes up. So if a school choice student comes from Barnstable, pick a town,
Sure,
and they school choice into Falmouth. And then 3 months later, it's determined they need out-of-district tuition, but they need an out-of-district placement.
for a
whatever
specialized
reason,
program.
For a specialized program. That's on Barnstable's dime. It's not on Falmouth's dime.
Correct.
Okay.
So I think that, maybe I asked inappropriately. So our school choice, the average student that wants to school choice to Barnstable is not, that number is not included in this 3 million.
Yes, school choice is an absolutely separate topic.
Okay, great.
This has nothing to do with, this is only special
This is,
needs students.
okay. And I also just want to highlight another, highlight from Falmouth is people move here who have had high needs students because they know that we will make sure that they are educated properly. And that, I know that that's not like a popular or what have you, but I'm personally pretty proud of that, people feel comfortable and they've sought shelter, if you will, for their specialized child who requires more than what perhaps their hometown, whatever. They came here because they know that we will educate them in whatever that is. So yes, that 3 million is a high number, but I'm okay.
Can I just reiterate?
I'm sorry. go ahead.
Something that you brought up, like the number, right? And so whether, the number's 33 or 42, and it changes and shifts even through the year, right?
Sure. And when you say 33 or 42, you mean?
Students
Students,
that
very
would
good.
be out of district.
Sure.
I think the key is that, every one of those tuitions can be different.
Sure.
And we
Thank you.
talked, remember we talked, so that's
Yep.
what I just want to remind, we've talked in the presentations before, we may have an out of, district tuition that might be 68,000, and we may have one that's 250,000.
Sure.
Depending on the needs of the students, where they are. And then the additional cost, could be medical. We may need, a teaching assistant, a nurse, additional OT, PT, so all of those others is in addition to, tuition. And then transportation's on top of that too. And that transportation changes wherever the placement is. So it's very difficult to say you have X amount of students and this is what it would cost us, right?
Sure.
Because those placements are so specific.
Very good.
Yeah. I
Thank
didn't
you.
have that. Okay.
No, it's, thank you.
I'm sorry,
No.
Paul, you wanted to add something?
No, I think to Melissa's point about, people moving into the district, because of the special needs. I think that's really reflective of the job that's done by the teachers within the school system today, and the staff that works alongside this TAs and the one-to-ones. Falmouth can be very, very proud of their work for special needs students, which is slightly different than these numbers here for students that are out of district. But the in-district component is exceptional as well.
So, if I recall correctly, and I may be wrong, but I thought in the past that the state had some say in regards to what these out-of-district facilities could charge? And is there any indication, am I right? Okay, is there any indication of where the state stands with that right now in regards to, are they anticipating boosting it even further?
The state, the Office of Services Division, OSD, sets the rate, for private school tuition. Not the collaboratives, but the private schools. So if you go to a residential school or, another school off Cape View, those are typically done by the OSD. And so it's fixed by them.
Right.
The inflation rate, I believe it's, that they used, the increase was around 3.7, but don't quote me on that. I believe it was under 4.
And
But I
that's
can
been
come
different every year. For decades, it was always 2% increase
Yeah.
or less. Then remember, we had that 14% increase
Right.
followed by, I think, a 4.6.
Yeah.
You know, and then, so that, I mean, if it's gonna be a 3 for next year, if it's 3 point something, that's definitely, you know, much more reasonable than our last couple years.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And I can give you an exact figure on that.
Okay.
I'm sure we've covered this before, but just to refresh my memory, when it comes to the boost, the increase that we've had in the past year, is that still responding to that 14% that you just referenced, that the state changed the tuition?
No,
Are
I
we
think-
still in a crisis because of that, or did
No,
something
I
happen
think this
year?
is a mix of students and the mix of need, residential versus private. And as Dr. Dorr mentioned, there are a number of variables that go into the overall tuition.
Mhm.
And so it really does, it is really student specific. So, you know, if you thought that if your number goes from 40 to 39, your out of district tuitions could still go up.
Right,
It's
sure.
just the.
So part two of that question then is, I guess, can we reasonably assume that next year there might be a similar increased sort of crisis?
We are projection, based on what we know today. Our out of district tuition is gonna go from 3.486 to over 3.7 million next year. It is gonna continue to go on.
Thank you.
I had a hard time understanding how these things could get so high until, this is what I like being on the, Cape Cod Collaborative Board. You'll learn a lot about things, throughout the Cape. So we took a trip where you went to different, really specialized students. And one student can add an incredible amount of money, and you just don't know, like a student who has to lie down, but has to have a special personnel and sit up to look at something, for example, that kind of care all day long without getting too much into medical things. But so it's hard to, it's really hard to foresee what's going to happen with those things. And we just can't do what one individual student needs sometimes to blow the cost out of the water. So anyway, I don't know if that.
Yeah, can I just, commend Dr. Dorr and Mr. Dart on the, out of district tuition aside, which is difficult to control. But the overall, for the district to control, the overall budget, we are in such better shape than so many other municipalities and other districts. And so, I think you should be commended for that, because, other districts are looking at cuts, freezes, and, this budget is in really good shape considering the climate that we're in. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I don't ditto what Linda said, but I also think that we need to thank the town.
Yeah.
Your collaboration with the town has been outstanding, and we nearly owe a debt of gratitude to the town of Falmouth for their support of our schools.
Thank you. Absolutely.
No,
Yep,
it's
absolutely.
our collaboration, but with.
Yes, sure.
We want to add to the town.
Great. Okay. Thanks, Paul.
No problem. Thank you.
Next up is the update on building needs task force. Anything, or is it going right to Sue? Right to Sue. Update us, please.
Okay, I based my comments on the Building Needs Task Force meeting of April 29th, and the meeting was attended by 9 out of the 12 members of the task force. The minutes from the previous 5 meetings were approved unanimously, and the NESDEC report was summarized, and during discussion, it was stressed that we do not have a timeline for decisions to be made. As well, the school administration is requesting additional information from the town regarding new housing that is presently in the permitting process. Discussions regarding the Early Learning Center included review of previous discussions, reiterating duplication and challenges of services provided if preschool were to be placed at each elementary school, as well as the advantages of a separate preschool. While covering this topic, advantages for keeping kindergarten and elementary schools were discussed. Considerable and productive discussion, in my opinion, was held regarding the possible grade configurations for 5 through 7 and 6 through 8, as well as the possibility of 8 through 12 at FHS. Peter Clark, former superintendent of schools from 96 to 2005, wrote a letter to the school building task force entitled "Best Steps to Serve the Town and the Children of Falmouth." Dr. Clark also served as assistant superintendent of Falmouth schools for 9 years and was principal of the high school from 72 to 87. I believe each of you received a copy of his suggestions through our school committee email, and if you don't have that, I'll make sure, just let me know. It is my belief that the Building Needs Task Force is fast approaching the time when a report to the school committee will be finalized. Meetings are scheduled for May 19th and May 28th.
Thank you. You're welcome. Questions on building needs? Did you want to add anything you did?
No, it's like you stole my notes, and like summed them up great. Great. No, I think that that really captured what we talked about. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the meeting on the 19th and making a presentation to the school committee.
Thanks. Well, thank you guys for the work and the update, and thanks, of course, to building needs.
Can I just say one thing about that? There's so much work that goes into building needs, and people continue to show up that we've had these meetings, and it's not just, a handful of people, it's, educators, it's parents, it's school committee members, and it's really a thoughtful group. And I think that there are thoughtful conversations that come from it. As I kind of look around the room and I look at people that have been at these meetings as both meeting members, as well as people that from the community have watched these meetings, I think that there's been really great conversation and excellent questions and great points that have been made. So I appreciate the Building Needs Task Force. I appreciate the role of it. And I guess that's all. And the people that keep showing up, like, obviously the people.
Can I ask one procedural question? I went to the last meeting and I came away with some questions, and I don't know who to direct those questions to, because we can't speak during the building needs meetings, and then the feedback form that's currently on Navigating the Future only is responsive to the NESDEC report. So I'm wondering how comments, ideas, questions from myself or anyone can reach the Building Needs Task Force at this time. Is there not something at the bottom of that? Or leave a little comment, I guess, with your answers. The surveys, all 8 of the proposed ideas from the NESDEC report, and then there's a little space for comments. So would those little comments in that box go to the building needs? I'm not on the building needs, but that's what I would do, but I don't know.
There's a section under the NESDEC report that you can ask questions.
On the same page.
There's two surveys. There's one that just asks questions, so you can put questions in. And then there's a second one that you can give feedback on the NESDEC report. And yes.
Oh, okay. I missed the first one. Kelly,
I think
I must have sent you the wrong link then. Well, I guess I just couldn't find it. I was navigating all around, and then Kelly sent me the link, and okay, so there is a place still where people can submit questions and ideas.
Yes.
Great. Okay. All right, thank you. Next up, Discuss and act on rescinding navigating the future proposed plan 1 and 2. Is that how you want it to read, Mike?
That's how it's written.
What,
So that's fine.
okay.
I mean, there's not much I can do about it now, open meeting law and all, so,
Well,
but I
it's the
have
same
my
content,
motion.
so that's what I mean. Is that the motion that you want? Exactly as I
motion,
said,
I
or do
would
you want
like
the
to-
edited one?
I was gonna say, I would like to file a motion, and the motion would be to rescind and revise our previous vote and substitute proposals 3 through 5 of navigating the future as the new alternative text, meaning to all of you here and in the audience that navigating the future now starts with proposal 3 through 5, and 1 and 2 are totally deleted. And I can say it again.
No, well, we're the ones that have to vote on it and we have it's the same language that Katrina sent, right?
Yes.
Yep, so we're fine. Is there a second? Okay. Discussion.
Okay.
Sorry, Heather.
So I was at the building needs, at the task force, and I reiterate, they do a lot of work, a lot of research, and we should be appreciative. Somebody there said that we should really be starting at the top and looking down. Lawrence School is the biggie. So we should really be thinking about the 5th graders and the pre-K kids, those two ends. So if you take off that middle 1 and 2 thing, it is such a clear slate. And I think it's gonna take a lot of thinking about where do you want the 5th graders to go? You know, and what happens if the Lawrence School can't be renovated, which is a possibility, we're still gonna have to shift. And I think we really need to look, maybe I'm saying too much, but I'm trying to get rid of this thing of 1 and 2 hanging over us. We really need to think about our 5th graders gonna be, are they really elementary kids or not? You know, I think Dusty says you do. Anyway, there's a lot of research next year and all these things that we need to do. So just having a nice clear slate to go from, I think would be great.
So
I move to table the motion. Based on my report, I believe that we are in need of a report from the Building Needs Task Force. And before we can, start to remove things ourselves.
Okay, the motion to table takes precedent. Is there a second for that?
I'd like to second that only because by eliminating options that the building needs is working on, it totally like undermines all the work that building needs has done.
Okay, so a motion to table, as we learned the other day when I asked the same question, is not debatable. So we have to vote on that, and then if it fails, then we can keep discussing the other.
Can you speak to it?
No, you're not, it's not debatable. The motion to table is not debatable.
Disappointing, there was no discussion before you made your.
Yeah,
motion.
and another way you guys screw me over.
So, I mean, that's Robert's rules. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, so, there's a motion and a second. All in favor of tabling it for another later point, say aye. Is this a roll call or hand or voice? Just like we normally do. We don't have to roll call.
I didn't know for tabling a motion, do we have?
Oh, no, it's the same. Yep, good question. All in favor of tabling the motion, say aye, and you're gonna have to do your hand up so I can see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the motion carries. Abstentions and opposed,
Opposed.
okay. Okay, so we'll bring it back another time.
It's very can I just make
Um,
one comment?
No, we're not. We just gotta keep moving. I understand your disappointment. You've already vocalized it. We're moving on. Act on FEF project grants.
Okay, so, as you know, 2 times during the year, we shifted our process. So in the fall, the $350 grants for teachers, we did a blanket and just let teachers, you know, since it's a quick process, submit. These are the bigger projects, and this happens in the spring. And so last week, excuse me, the FEF board voted to fund the projects that are in your packet. If you had a chance to look through them, You'll see that there are, some pretty amazing projects that are coming from, our staff. And there are new projects, which are exciting, and then there's the continuing, and I think both are really important that, FEF recognizes. So, when a, teacher submits something that is continuing, many of these are happening year after year after year. And then there are some new ideas, and I think that's a nice mix, and you can see them from the different school. So we're just asking for a blanket vote on what the FEF has already, the board has already read in depth. And these are the ones that they're pushing forward. And so I'm asking for a positive vote to accept these so that our teachers will be able to implement these projects next year.
Okay,
I'll make a motion.
on all of them in concert together, right? Correct. Great. Is there a second? Thank you. Any discussion? Yeah.
Yeah, I just have a quick question about this. The question is, what, do we know what the two that were not approved were? There were 33 total requests.
We do not, they
30
were not given to us.
So my second part of that question is, why were there no T-ticket grants this year? Every other school got 3 or 4 or more FEF grants, and T-ticket has no mention in here.
They may not have submitted for anything.
Okay, is that normal that some schools?
Yes,
don't send-
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in my memory, teachers that have had success getting them ask for them again. So it's sort of a.
Oh, many of them were continuing. I just
Yeah.
wondered if there was any, what the two that were not included might be. Okay.
My other comment about it was, it would be, I would hope that FEF does a press release or we do a press release, like these projects are unbelievable. And, I want to be a student that gets to do half of these things. Like, it's really
always think that too.
remarkable. And I know they do their wonderful event where they highlight the showcase, but I feel like it needs to be bigger than that so that, and I don't know how we do that, but
I'll work with them.
Yeah.
I know they always have them all up on the website. I don't know if they do, a lot of times they do a booklet, but I'll just, if we can also do a press release, but let me work with.
Yeah, I just think
with
it would
them.
be nice to have a
Sure.
press release that
I
maybe
think
links
that's
to the
lovely.
website or
Yeah.
something so that, because not everybody's gonna just go look for the FEF page to find out all these
Yeah.
amazing things. I think people need to be pushed there.
Yeah, that's great.
So that they can see, because each one was better than the previous. It's just amazing. Any other comments about, yeah,
Yeah, I wanted to add to that, because it's so wonderful, because our budget can't do all this.
yeah.
And that, they do this and that our students benefit from it. I've often spoken about how that really is an asset. I added that, if you look at the Cape Cod News, you'll see that. This is one of the real strength of our school system. It's just wonderful. And we can't,
I've never been
we
a
can't
part of
be
a system
thankful
like
enough
this.
to them for
I
all
agree.
that they do with us. So next year when they have the gala, make sure you show up. They deserve to have us there.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Thank
Any
you.
last, yeah, sorry, Glenn.
I think that I can't find it now, but I think that I saw that some of the funding was used for transportation for projects.
Sometimes they do that.
Yeah, and I think, and that's wonderful because a
huge cost.
lot of grants restrict transportation. And so the fact that, and you can't take a field trip unless you.
Right, right.
So this. Students are so lucky that
Yeah.
they're able to go on some of these excursions.
And those of us that volunteer.
And it also supports our belief in equity.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah,
That's so important.
that's great.
Any last thoughts on FEF? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Surplus piano.
So in your packet, Dr. Tellier has sent a memo. That is a very old piano. And really, it's not functional, for our music class. So, we're getting a new piano and we're just asking you to surplus this one.
So moved.
Thank you. Any comments on a piano? Yeah, please.
Sometimes when people have old pianos like this, they turn it into an art project and they like put it in a public place for a while. It probably won't sound great, but you let the students in some class paint it and then you put it outside even because it's.
Okay, well, thank you for that idea.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a great
fun.
idea.
Yeah.
Or like
All right.
hanging, I've seen them where you hang the insides of the piano.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And then
Yeah.
you can like bang on it, it makes all kinds of cool stuff. I don't
The
know.
art students go crazy.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
possible.
Well, thank you. We will talk to the art department.
you
on
never know, they might have some wonderful
Yeah.
idea.
Okay.
All in favor of surplusing the piano, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, abstentions? It's unanimous again. Policies, acting on the bullying prevention and the bullying intervention plan.
All right, so it is as we had reported at the last meeting. So the plan is in here as well, but I don't know if you have any questions. We did discuss it last time.
Any last
Mhm.
questions on it?
Okay.
No, thank you. They added the thing I was concerned about, so.
Yes, I saw.
Yeah,
you noticed
thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, policy committee
Mike
for
is-
doing that.
Yeah, sorry, Mike is gone now, but didn't he have something? I cannot remember it and I didn't write it down. He had something about this and I don't.
Whatever went forward to the policy subcommittee
Was included.
was included. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Sorry, was there a motion? Is there a motion to?
I'm gonna make a motion. to
Thank you.
approve that.
And Katrina's got the second. Any last comments on that? Approval? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, great. Moving right along. Next up is the first read on policies, subcommittees, permanent committees, responsible use, and school district webpage.
Okay, so BDE subcommittees of the school committee, we just were cleaning this up. It had been written differently in different places. So in our practice is that the subcommittees do not have chairs. So we just made this align with our practice and where it's stated in other policies. And then in BDER, it's just we don't say chairman anymore. We were just cleaned it up.
You notice that?
Yeah. And I'm going to turn over to Dr. Tellier to talk about responsible use policy. And there were a lot of changes in there, and I'm not sure you want us to go through all of them. Hopefully, you read them. And then the IJ and DC school and district web pages, which very few things. Dr. Tellier.
Thank you. So IJNDB responsible use, one of the key things is just making sure that we've updated the guidance around student data privacy. So that's that first piece, and making sure that we have the references in compliance with Children's Internet Protection Act, so SEPA, and then Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, HOPA. So those references are there. There are just a couple of updated references around code of conduct and making connections that there are procedures in our handbooks relative to students who may be irresponsible, to follow the name of the just recognizing the need for digital devices. There's a couple places where we made updates to training and instruction rather than naming a certain program, just talking more globally about our work so that if we change resources, we're able to do that. There's a reference as you get a little bit further in, it says plagiarism, it now says / academic dishonesty, and makes again references back to the student handbook. Updating permissions around photographing and or recording students, so that was one of the bigger pieces. And then some of the other parts that are in here are just updating because Google has changed its name, making sure that all of that sort of housekeeping piece is updated in there. They changed their name relative to their education products, I should say.
Google this? I'm sorry.
Yeah, they used to be Google Apps for Education. Now it's just Google Workspace. So we made sure we made that.
Or like
update.
it updated
It's the
Twitter to.
package that we use
Okay.
in the district.
Okay.
I noticed the
Support our-
Twitter
Not
one
like,
too.
okay, no.
That's why I
No, no,
clarified, sorry.
Sorry.
And then annual notification is added to, and then both for IJNDB and IJNDC, in particular, the clarified or updated cross references, just to make sure that everything is current. So those are all outlined in yellow, the red text. All right.
I had two questions. One, the removal of the Oxford comma makes me crazy, but I'm willing to let it go.
I cannot.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's
I will still double.
on the school and district webpage. It's the addition.
It's the addition.
Oh,
I
I
was
thought
gonna
it was highlighted.
I'm
'cause
pretty
it
sure
was
Sonia
taking
would
them
not
out.
do that, no.
Oh, thank you.
We were adding them in.
She's over there
Thank
shaking.
God.
I
Okay.
second that. I
So,
approve.
okay,
Yes.
yay,
There's
thank
still
you.
double space after
Hey,
that
you-
period.
Oh, yes,
Oh.
totally double space
You're
after
gonna
that.
No,
rebellion,
no.
No,
there's
I
gonna
can't
be a
help it.
rebellion from the policy committee. If you make another statement like that,
No, I said I would live with it. I trust you guys.
well,
But I just wanted to ask about, so the photographing and I'm on, responsible use, which I have to say I like much better than acceptable, like raising the bar, I like more. But the section on photographing and recording staff, is that's new? That language?
Yeah, so there was a piece that was in the handbook, but we wanted to clarify it and then pull it in because it's relative to the actual devices.
That was my question. That's the language from the handbook?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
been added to a bit and then put in here because it's about, this whole policy is about the devices that we provide, so making sure that we also have that piece
Okay,
in there.
that was my only question. I just wasn't sure about that part. I totally went first. Any other questions on policies? It's our first read, so you always have the opportunity to follow up with policy folks before it comes back for a vote. Okay, thank you. Next up, update by the superintendent.
All right, so my first update, I mean, everyone, I just wanted the opportunity to announce again that we have the principal, T-Ticket Elementary, Stephen Kapolka. He is a Clipper. We've had a meet and greet. He's actually joined the first professional development day with the T-Ticket teachers for our new ELA curriculum. He's going to a staff meeting. He's got some social things that the school's doing that he's already, planning on attending. He'll be at the next staff meeting. So he's already, I know he doesn't officially start till July 1, but he's very excited and he's been very engaged. So very excited about that. I'm gonna jump to one of my other, and it did not get on here today because it was just finalized this afternoon. And I am very pleased to say that Principal Rose Moran will be the principal of East Falmouth Elementary School.
Wow,
So-
wow.
So it was,
Back to East Falmouth.
I know, and she's going home, right?
She's not even.
Well, she knew I was gonna do it, so I don't know. But,
And she
But it-
asked for it, right?
and she asked for it, and I think that's the really special piece, is that she loves both schools so much. And, so she didn't want to leave, but now that she's been back at East, she was like, I can't leave here. And that was what she asked to be the principal there. And she said, I just can't leave. Please don't make me go. I need to be there. And it went over so well with the staff today.
Of course it does.
When she did it, she just got, I mean, a complete room of applause. And so, anyway, so everyone seemed to be very happy and so excited about it. And now we will post for the principal at Mullen Hall. So,
Can I just say something? We are so fortunate to have her in whatever school she is.
Yes.
She is just an outstanding principal and she does remarkable work and we should be very thankful to her for all she does for all of our students.
Yes.
Yes,
No matter where
and she
is.
set Mullen up,
Yeah.
Mullen is in a great space. We'll find somebody awesome.
yes, we will.
It will.
And we have a great admin team there, right? I mean, and our AP and our SEBA that's there. Both, Jill Meserve and Jesse are both, they're really strong and there's a strong culture there and we will find somebody. I'm confident. So,
Were you gonna say something? I heard you.
yeah, I was gonna say, it's more than great that she's there. It's wicked great. It's gonna help soothe over
So many
a
things.
lot of things. I won't go into specifics, but it's doubly great, I
It's definitely
think.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
agree.
that there's an understanding that with her own history there, previously before she went to Mullen. And understanding and knowing the staff, knowing the students, the families, the demographic. As an East alumni and with my own children there, I saw her in action almost every day that I volunteered, that I was there. And I could not support this anymore. I cannot be more excited about this. I'm so excited that she's going back to East Falmouth. And I'm thrilled to hear that the staff is thrilled. And I'm so
deserve
excited to
it.
hear that they asked for it,
I
that
know.
she asked for it. So,
And that they
Yeah.
asked for it, you know,
Yeah.
like that,
I'm
you know,
sorry for
or
Mullen.
whatever, yeah.
Ish,
I'm
but-
so, I'm sorry too, but
I think that Mullen though, they, as you said, they're in a good place, but they're supporting her completely.
Oh, I love
Right,
that.
so I mean, and they know, right, that's, you know, that. And
Yeah.
people make changes and make moves and it happens. And so they're
So
being very
exciting.
supportive.
So great.
And I think we have wonderful principals at all of our schools.
We
and
do.
We're very
Yeah.
fortunate
We
to
are.
have them, and our students are very fortunate.
Yeah,
agreed.
absolutely. Thank you, Margaret. I appreciate that. The next one is the Falmouth High School student government. So, you know, they meet 4 times a year. I try to pop into the student government at the high school, you know, whenever I can. And so last week, they had one of their meetings, and one of the things that they have been working on is around the whole Clipper. And, you know, we have talked about, and it's part of your goal as well. And when we get back to the admin building, we have a little surprise for you. But to help you along with your goal and using the Clipper language, I'd like to, I know we're late, but I'd really like to take comments, and I know some, or make some comments that the students made. And I know that you like to hear from students, so if we could take a few minutes to hear. So under C, creative, we just picked one comment out of each one. There were lots of them, and we're gonna put something together so you're gonna see more. But so under creative, one student said, something here at Falmouth High School that shows my creativity is the work that my teachers give me. Teachers will give different options for projects that can show my work through creative ways. And I also think that they help to show kids how they can try new things. For example, in some of my classes, we can do a visual piece instead of a writing prompt, or different new things that the teachers have thought of for us to become better learners. I think that we could all be a little more creative, but here at Falmouth High School, they do a good job helping us express creativity. Under learner, the L in Clipper, the learner, a student said, with so many different classes on such a wide range of topics, these I can statements do fit us as students. We're constantly being challenged to apply the things that we have learned before in each new class that we take, which leaves us with the knowledge. Students here are dedicated to understanding what they are being taught, and that it is shown in every classroom. I think it's so exciting. Okay, so the I, inquisitive. A different student says, I believe that these statements accurately align with my experience at school. For example, in some of my classes, Socratic seminars allow me to engage in friendly debate with other students. As my opinions are questioned by others, I can find new ways to look at things and an increased sense of curiosity. The science fair gives students the opportunity to dive deeper into a topic they are curious about. Teachers at this school are very supportive of students as they are inquisitive about scientific topics. The P, which is the first P in Clipper, is participant. There are many ways to participate within our school and community, including being in student government itself and being a part of teams or clubs. There are also many opportunities to get involved during the school day, like following a career pathway that is aligned with your interest, or working further with subjects you're passionate about with teachers in Clipper time. The second P in Clipper is partner. I think that being a partner is a very influential part of my experience as a Falmouth High School Clipper. Almost every year, my English class has established class norms that become expectations for people to carry themselves and their actions through. When I have been involved in discussions and collaborative projects, people are always respectful. And I think that across the board, teachers encourage their students to be compassionate partners with both their peers and teachers alike. E, for effective communicator. I am encouraged to communicate both publicly and privately with other peers or teachers about any issues in school, along with having safe spaces in teams and clubs to express how I am feeling, where I may need support. And the R, resilient. Mistakes are not discouraged here, and it's a safe place to learn. Teachers are always there to seek knowledge from. Also, we are given the tools to thrive after and in Falmouth High School. So I thank you for letting me have the time to say, we'll send a lot more and we have something planned for you, but these are just a direct comments for our students and they're still commenting on the Clipper, the work that we've been doing for many years. So thank you to Dr. Taylor, Dr. Harris.
Did you say where they were commenting? I missed that.
So in student government, the students that are elected by their peers to be a part of student government, they are actually working on the I CAN statements that we have shared with the committee. And so they're commenting on how it is in reality, how does it play out for them? And that's what they were sharing on. What does it look like? And I know that, you have appreciated hearing from students before. And so I just wanted to share that. One last, two last updates, sorry. The Cape and Island Superintendent meeting. So we meet monthly, and the last few months we have been talking about a need for a demographic and enrollment study for the entire Cape. And so I know that we have ours specifically for Falmouth, but I also think having the broader input and study on the entire Cape as so many districts are experiencing great decline in their enrollments as well, and really leading to so many changes that's going to need to happen. A few years ago, we also met with the town managers of every town, and so we are planning that again. We think that, there's issues that are just bigger than the schools to be able to tackle. And some of that is housing, things that we've talked about, but it really requires, the town input as well. And we need to do this collaboratively. We had really rich discussions a few years ago, and we felt like it was time that we need to come back to those same discussions and look forward to a Cape and Islands report as well. So something that we're moving forward on.
Can I ask a question? When you say the superintendents, does that include the collaborative?
Yes, I'm sorry, yes. So, yes,
It's not really, it's not called a superintendent.
director.
Director, but they're there.
They're there.
Okay, great. Because that seems like something they would particularly be
Yes.
interested in.
Yep, they're part of it.
So Kelly, I've been reading recently in regards to the efforts by the Housing Assistance Corporation in regards to trying to garner support within the individual towns. And this group you speak of may benefit from collaboration with them as well.
Yeah, I just read something that what they were doing. Okay, yeah. So I will reach out to them and I'll talk to the superintendents about including. Yep, no, that's great. Thank you, Sue. All right, and then my last is block party. So Susie Hoffman, everyone knows from, anyway, this is the flyer that's out.
Is it in Portuguese?
And yeah, I know. So I just wanted to point it out. It's at your the last event that they put on was fantastic. And so they're periodically trying to do some. This is on Friday, June 13th from 4:30 to 7 at the rec center. And so just wanted to put it out there because we had a great party last time, the last one. So I encourage you to come.
Thank you.
Thanks. And that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Routine business. We have 2 sets of minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the 7th of April? Thank you. Katrina, second?
I'll second it.
Thanks. Any last edits or comments on those ones? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Abstention? Person with abstention. Thank you. And then the next one is the minutes from the April 15th retreat. Is there a motion for those? Melissa?
I'll make that second.
Okay, I figured you keep it nice and simple. Glenda, you good?
I don't see, I don't have the minutes. Have the, any edited? The April, I don't have the.
Oh, you don't have.
Oh, there were no changes to the April 15th one from the packet. There was an edit, a correction in the, yeah, that's the only reason you only had one.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, no worries. Any edits or corrections on the 15th? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, those are unanimous. Thank you very much. Next up is committee reports. We already heard building needs. Any other committee reports? Glenda?
So I attended the end of year celebration for the LPAC, which is the committee that supports English language learner parents and families. And it was the seniors from Falmouth High School, and it was amazing. And congratulations to the students, but also to the staff who put in so much hard work for those wonderful graduates. So it was great to attend. Thank you.
Thanks. Here.
Yeah, I have a list here. All right. The Cape Cod Collaborative, it's happy to report that the new articles that you signed, the articles for the collaborative have been approved. From VIPS, the student of the month for May is Sorel Tebow. I hope I said that right. Just came out today. The financial literacy series at FHS, and I think we heard something about that during the CGE reports, concluding that they, 8 speakers came in during Clipper time to talk to kids. So that's again, the community loving our school as they do. Do you remember a couple of years ago, you had little cars with peppermint wheels on them? Do anybody remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's part of a thing that's called cross-age science teaching. It's 8th graders from Lawrence School, go down, and they have gone to all the 3rd grade classes this year, and they help them do science projects, and they have to convince them not to eat the wheels. Just kidding, that's kind of a joke, don't eat the wheels, but that's 255 3rd grade students. And the beauty of this program, though, is the 8th graders going down and the 3rd graders meeting with them. It's just such a wonderful program. Anyway, it's called CAST, but it's cross-age science teaching. I want to say thank you to the Cape Verdean Club for giving us Creole lessons from Cape Verde, and nice food too we got that night. Sonia and Lori should be asked to say something in Creole. Lori was taking notes. Do you remember?
Oh, boy.
No problem.
No, you're a quizzer.
No.
Sonia is our expert on that one.
Yeah.
She can actually.
Can you do it on the spot?
La mia es Sonia, encontrando en Conchenia.
Oh,
My name is Sonia. It's nice to meet you. I just don't know if I said nice to meet you plural, nice to meet you one of you. I'm working on that part. Just enough to enter.
awesome. Way to be brave.
Yeah, but I mean, because I tried before we went to find some place to learn it, and just, you can't. But they're very good to us. And the last thing is the Memorial Garden service, which you hear me talk about every year, has changed. It used to be at Memorial Day, but it's going to be next week. Is the 22nd next week?
Yeah.
At 10 o'clock in the morning too. It's going to have a little bit of thing. Just to the people who don't know, if you've ever looked at that garden outside the school and see the names on the pavers around it. It's something very, very, very few schools have such a thing. So anyway.
Would you tell me what's the date of that?
It's next Thursday, the 22nd at 10 o'clock. I'll send an email out reminding everybody. Okay.
Thank you. That'd be great.
I'm sad that it's not like later in the day. for those
Yeah,
of
it's
us
almost
that
during the
work.
day, yeah.
But anyway,
Any other, we did the student advisory, Margaret and I with Lori on the 9th. I can't believe we have not had a meeting since before that. That seems crazy. And some of the highlights of that conversation, I think that was our last one for the year. They talked about MCAS. They did say that they noticed some kids were finishing way faster this year. Which they were like, and then some of them mentioned that the 10th grade civics project this year, they were all sophomores that were in the room with us this time. And they said some kids did navigating the future as their civics project, which I thought was kind of cool. When we asked if, like, what would be the thing if they wanted to pick something to change, you know, to tell us to think about changing as a school committee, they kind of all felt like a 7:25 start time in the morning was really difficult. There was one girl who commutes from Bourne, I think, and she wakes up at 5:30 and has after school stuff as well.
A school choice student that chooses to be here.
They did not complain,
Yeah.
but they all felt kind of like the first 2 periods of the day were a little bit hazy because it's hard to get that early. And then I was asking them about the navigating the future since they had mentioned that, and we had an interesting conversation about how they would feel looking back if they were a fifth grader staying in elementary versus being an eighth grader moving up to the high school. And they all interestingly said they were ready to move on by fifth grade, but they also said that they would feel scared going to the high school as an eighth grader. But then they said as 10th graders looking back, they can see now that the big kids were not actually scary, but they still would feel scared. And then they also simultaneously said they would prefer to stay in fifth grade in the elementary school. So it was kind of all over the map, but it was a really great conversation. And good to hear from some students about that. Thank you. Any other ones?
Yes, this is in the committee, but last year I volunteered for decorating Gus Canty for
Yeah, after prom.
after the prom. I did write to her because I said I'm limited to what I could do. I volunteered to go from 5 to 8. She never responded to me because I can't drive there. But if anybody's going, I really encourage you to think about it. Number one, going to Gus Canty and seeing what they transform that place into is remarkable. And if any of you have a couple of hours to either help them decorate or to help them with food, they really apparently have shot on volunteers this year. And I really would encourage you, if you're going, you can pick me up and I'll go with you.
Thanks for the plug. I appreciate it. After prom?
Or after, yeah.
It's
Saw that in the
wonderful.
newspaper.
Yeah, it's awesome. I have two quick things. One, I spoke with our MASC rep about starting to work on a date for a retreat. And the second thing is that the senior breakfast that is sponsored by the school committee is happening again this year. I don't have the date, but I did confirm with them that we are going to be hosting senior breakfast again. And they welcomed us. So we host the breakfast, but then we also share information about civic responsibility and getting kids either registered to vote, which is what it used to be, but now it's confirming that you're registered to vote and sharing information on how to get an absentee ballot if you're not going to be in Falmouth next year, if you're joining the military or going to college.
Yeah.
So we'll be sharing that. So if anyone is interested, let me know and you can join me. I love going.
If I'm still here, I will happily join you again.
And the kids last year really appreciated the absentee ballot thing. I'm super curious whether, I don't know if we can get data on whether or not any of them actually used it, but they liked that because they're all already registered from motor.
I have to say that like over the years, their engagement has been, it went from like a table in the field house after rehearsal to morphing into so much more, like a purposeful conversation, great questions from the students, just questions on being an adult kind of thing that, I don't know, I like it. I love that it's kind of morphed into what it is today.
Yeah, I agree. Were you gonna say something, sorry?
Yeah, is there any ways to get an official type information sheet from Michael Palmer that you can have just to pass to the kids?
Oh, yes, I have all of it
Oh,
and I
yeah.
passed it all out last year.
Tell us all business.
Yeah, and it's all QR codes because they're teenagers.
Oh,
So
all right.
they like scanning everything with their phone. Yeah.
Is this an opportunity for our goal to have a table and be in our shirt? Like that kind of thing? It sounds like you're describing
I
that
think-
kind of.
I
event.
think it is.
Morning though.
In the morning. Well, should we be, I mean, if we are volunteering at this.
Yes, we should wear a shirt.
Sounds like.
I love that idea.
Should give us a date.
Yeah, no, I don't have
Yeah,
it
yeah.
with me. I started looking for it in my email, but then I felt like I was being rude, so.
Usually it's the Wednesday before, but.
Yeah,
yeah,
right before
things may have
graduation.
changed.
But I'll send it out
Thank you.
for sure. Any requests for follow-up? Chris, sorry, I almost missed you.
I was just wondering, would we have an opportunity to kind of talk about, just based on kind of the feedback from the evaluation, to talk about kind of the goal setting process? Whether, I don't know if that's something that would be just handled by the subcommittee first, but if we have a chance to talk about it as a
group,
as a body first before subcommittee or however, but just kind of to have a discussion.
I think that's a
about
great
it.
idea. Yeah, thank you.
Can I,
We'll get that on.
do
Yeah.
you mean our committee goals or the superintendent's goals?
Both,
Okay.
Okay, I
Yeah.
No, I
thought you
just
meant
wanted to
superintendent.
clarify.
but-
yeah, and kind of like the whole
No,
evaluation process.
But because we do all do that, don't we? when the superintendent sends her goals out, we all evaluate, don't we?
Yes, but I think let me clarify. I thought what I was hearing is, can we have a discussion about the process before we start the process for
Yeah.
next year?
Yeah, essentially.
you.
And then the other one was also kind of related to that is, in terms of like committees, like would be, my understanding is that in the past, we've had like an outreach committee that kind of listens to teachers, like regular meetings between school committee members, that could listen to teachers and kind of just get input, more of like a listening session. And I'm not sure if that's something we could kind of re-implement but to have a discussion about that, essentially.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
You had mentioned the things that were not able to fit on this
Right.
agenda, and I'm wondering about next meeting, May 27th, is it?
We'll get on there.
Yes, will we be talking about Dress for Success and HR, and I forget.
I haven't gotten that far, but yes, we're definitely we need to get, the items that we're still waiting. I anticipated, it's already 9:30 and it went faster than I thought it was gonna go, but yeah, they're still on there.
Can you just remind me, of the elections on the 20th, so is that May 27th? Potentially having new members, is that first?
Yes.
May 27th, okay.
Yep. Yep. Okay, motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
I.
Thank you.